ALTBAYS. ALTBAYS. ALTBAYS.
Oh yes, we're live. Oh,
Are we?
Is it me? Could be. Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're live. ALTBAYS Show brought to you by ALTBAYS.nz. This beautiful studio is located in Whitianga. So if you want to run your own show, get in touch with us. If you have those crazy ideas and you always say, this should be a podcast, you're right. It should be. There's a lot of nonsense out there. I'm sure you're more intelligent and clever than that. Or maybe not, which is even better. Your show might be even cooler. Brett's here with me.
I am.
So we're fucking awesome. Anyone can do it, right?
Fuck, if I can do it, anyone can do it. That's what they say.
There you go.
That's a literal saying.
I know, right? And you can become a YouTuber. Is the profession of the future. Your kids are saying that, hey, Dad, I want to be a YouTuber. And you're laughing at him. Or maybe you're frustrated that the child that you raised wants to be a fucking YouTuber. But it's a reality, bro. Yeah, he might make more money than you. Bah. Okay, so listen to the child. And if you are now having dinner with the children, dad is cooking, someone is on the mission there, and you're watching ALTBAYS Show, thank you very much. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Support this platform so we can bring a bunch of cool, interesting people from all over the country. Okay, the platform is growing with support community. Okay, so if you have cool ideas, if you think that someone should be here in our show, send us a message and we'll listen to you. Okay, what else is happening? ALTBAYS clips. So if you don't have time to watch the whole show, which happens, we're all busy people, you can go to ALTBAYS clips on YouTube, get some of the best moments, watch, see if it suits you. And then you
Just
choose.
narrow down an hour and a half to 2 hours to 15 seconds.
I know, right?
Just get the whole gist of it.
Yes, you can do that. You just go on. Yeah, it might be even nicer to you, you know, like than listening to Leo and Brett talking for 2 hours. You just get like 5 minutes out of it, and you're still supporting us. Thank you very much. As you can see, Mr. Soanes is here.
Can they see that?
Yes.
I was just double checking. Yes. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, Ange, for breaking your arm on Saturday. Just want to say that.
Is Ange your partner?
Yes.
For the people who don't know.
My wife. Yeah.
Sorry, your wife. How did you break your wife's arm?
Well,
I don't know.
could you? So like, no, I better not.
Bit of a.
Let's say she
broke
fell
it.
off the bed.
Like, but people who don't know the story might think it was like domestic violence shit. It was not. It was like a nasty.
No, it was.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
No.
That's how it starts.
No, she fell off the bed and
That's how we get canceled.
fell
Oh
off the bed and broke her
no,
arm, so-
Angie.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear. Hope you recover quickly. And so you're driving her around? Is that what's happening?
I have been a little bit having to dress her and stuff like that. Fractured her shoulder up here somewhere, so
Oh no.
that sucks
It does suck.
for her mainly.
Are you good though? I thought it was something related to the jiu-jitsu you're into now. I thought you were practicing some moves or something. Nah.
No, but we did say to the kids afterwards that we were like, kids, this is why adults don't play, because someone gets hurt.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
Always learning a lesson, eh?
Let's just say I've got a new nickname now. They call me the Milkman. But let's just
Milkman.
carry on. Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get into
Someone
that
might get that
later
private
on.
joke later on. Yeah.
Okay. Tonight we have the pleasure to chat with after this great introduction.
You lost already?
I was waiting for the introduction. I don't know. Should I talk, not talk? I don't know what I'm doing.
We have KASPUR FRANKE here with us.
Hello. All days. I love it. I love it, Leo. I love it.
So man, thank you very
So
much.
wow, so you got a Johnny like Depp situation going on at your place. Is that what's okay.
Except with all the drug and alcohol abuse. You know?
Well, come to my place.
Two sober people.
So, for the people who don't know you, you're running the Monkey Theatre here in New Zealand.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
in
yeah,
Whitianga.
doing that
Giant
along
dip.
with my partner. Yeah, Molly.
What is the Monkey Theater?
The Monkey Theater is well now, and we're actually rebranding it. It's a Monkey House Lounge and Cabaret.
Fantastic.
So Monkey House Lounge and Cabaret. But the Monkey House Theater, which has been around for 30 years, was started by Noel Hewlett.
Came to the show. Was
Yeah, he was here not too long ago with his daughter, and I think also his brother Ray, who passed away not too long ago, unfortunately. But Noel, amazing man that he is, just wonderful. I did a comedy thing about last, I think I want to say like August or October it was. I had found out about this little theater here in Whitianga, and I called some mates of mine. I was like, "Hey, man, I got this little spot here." And my friend Alan McElroy, he's from Ireland, and Gary Sansom, he's from Scotland.
He does some things for RNZ, right? Radio New
Yeah,
Zealand.
yeah, exactly. He's coming back here on May 19th
Good
to the
man.
Monkey House Lounge and Cabaret.
Who
Don't
else
miss that show. It's a great show.
Fancy
Just
name.
before we keep going, who else is coming for that comedy nights? Because that would be a big one.
Oh,
eh?
it's going to be Corey from What We Do in the Shadows.
Fantastic.
And Keegan, I don't know his last name. I don't have the flyer with him, but he's on, I think, Rock FM or something. And that's gonna be a wild show. I mean, anything that Alan brings, it's gonna be wild. And Corey's fantastic. He was hanging out with us after a show he did 3 or 4 months ago. It was over here at the Mercury Bay.
Was he the one that you brought to the Monkey Theater before?
I brought him for the after party. Him and Brendan Lovegrove, who also performs at the Monkey House.
Right.
So
Yeah, carry on. You were saying how you got.
Oh
into
yeah,
the
yeah.
Monkey
So
Theater?
I ended up producing this comedy show because I was just getting into like doing stand up. I'm not a very good comedian, but
We'll find out tonight.
we figured we give it a shot, try it, and bring some entertainment. And Alan's great, and so is Gary. So basically, ended up doing this show, and it was about like 40 something people showed up to this thing. And by the way, on the same night that the All Blacks were playing, so not a bad turnout here in Whitianga
Not
for
really.
the same night that the All Blacks were playing. And at any rate, so Noel called me up maybe 10 days later or something of that nature, and he said, "Hey, this is Noel Hewlett, from the Monkey House." And I was like, "Oh, hey, Noel, how you doing, man?" And he said, "Good. I wanted to talk to you because that was a wonderful show that you did. That was a great show that you guys put on." And I was like, "Oh, thanks. Thanks very much." He goes, "Would you be interested in running the theater?"
Please.
And I was like, would I what? He goes, "Would you be interested in running the theater and the space? And I just think you'd be good at it." And it's kind of what I do back home, a little bit. So I'm from New York. And so I said, "Oh, this is nuts." I was like, "You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that." So, and as you know, because you've been around for a while, it used to be a little bit different. So when I walked in, I was like, "It's gonna need some work." So I said, "Would you mind if I make a few changes here and there? It's a couple of little things." And Noel was like, "Oh, just do whatever you want." But you've only got 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Which is what I love about Noel. He goes, "But you got about 2 weeks." I was like, 2 weeks? "Oh yeah, because we're still in the building and this and that." And I was like, "Oh well, I'm not gonna do much in 2 weeks." And then he goes, "Oh, maybe a month." And then that 1 month turned into like 6 weeks, turned into like 2 months. And then what happened was, forgive me, Noel, but this is great because he ended up going to see his daughter Sally down in the South Island, and I think she was here on the podcast as well too. And I had a few ideas of making a few changes, and then Noel came over to say goodbye. He was going away for like 10 days. And I go, "Oh, bye, Noel. Thanks so much." And then turned to my partner, Molly, and I literally went, "All right, let's go freaking nuts. Let's paint." They got this great kid, Jackson, who's this is kind of funny because Jackson, he's like a local here. He likes to fish a lot. He's like a fisherman, and I just needed a painter. And originally, asked just to have some teenager or somebody just to paint for like 5 hours. He's now been working there like 5 hours, almost like every other day. He's been working there forever, like just changing things up, So we painted the theater black. We tore out all the carpets, got the dust out of there as much as possible because it's 2 theaters, and just like lighting and just sound and just generally, I suppose, cleaned it up and just made it more like the vision was like East Village, like rock and roll dive bar meets like East Village Theater venue, get crazy acts, with drag queens, cabaret, comedy, bands, performances, and just things that I don't think is happening as much here in
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, I've been here for almost 9 years now.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about this for so long, like these needs of a space that it would be a bit more like alternative, that would bring different things. Because like, it's not that there's no people who would go for those events, it's that they're just not happening. So having you and Molly with this attitude of bringing something new, it's so uplifting, like it's that vibe of like, oh, cool, new life, like it's fresh. So it's funny because there's this paradox. It's an old school building that the whole community knows, but with this new vibe, completely new vibe that you guys are bringing. So like, it's so cool to see it, how it's unfolding. And that's why we're so keen like to support and be with you guys, because we've been asking for this for a long time. So thank you very much.
No, thank you guys. I can't do it without, an audience and people to come and support and hang out. And hopefully it's something for everybody, So, it's just been a journey with this thing. It's like, let's just go crazy. And we got lucky. You know what? We got this guy from San Francisco that was super kind to us, because I wanted to have like posters, like punk rock and rock and roll posters that were a little bit more unique than what you normally find. But it normally takes a couple of months to get anything over to Kiwi land. So this guy was so cool. Bill Wood is his name. And I found him on Etsy and his own personal website. And he was like, hey man, you know what? If you're not going to sell it, I'll give you the JPEGs. You could print out your own posters. And I was like, yeah, let's do that.
That's it.
So I was able to get some cool posters up there.
It's handy. You're right next door to a printer, right?
It is handy that we're right next door to a printer. Yes.
Yeah. Although she's got a broken arm now. No thanks.
Although she's got a broken arm now. That's correct.
Hey, but you do have a unique piece there, made by the guitar player from Marilyn Manson. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's so Molly's.
Twiggy. Is Twiggy the guitarist?
Twiggy. Yeah. I think
Ramirez?
he was. Yeah. But the original is Scott, also known as Daisy Berkowitz.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my partner's ex-boyfriend.
Right.
Great. So it's actually kind of how we met, to be honest with you. It's kind of a strange story.
You're both dating the same person?
We were both. We were both. We were both dating Daisy.
I didn't know. I was not sure. Man, so before we go into these crazy stories.
I met Scott. You're both dating Scott, right?
Yeah.
Scott. Do you know Scott too? So before we get deep into this crazy New York underground stories, so you grew up in New York. Is your family American? Is your family from New York as well? From the US?
Yeah, no. So to clarify, I was born in New York. So I was born in New York, but actually right away I was taken to South America, to Colombia. So we're like neighbors, you and I.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're from Brazil, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're neighbor. Well, I guess Brazil neighbors almost everything
I know,
in
right?
South America.
Yes.
But I am, so from Colombia. So I lived there in Bogota till I was, I think, like 7 or 8.
So who is Colombian?
My mother, my mom.
Colombian?
Mi mamá.
Mama.
Mamá es colombiana de Bogota.
What's her name?
Clara.
Clara. Clara
Ballesteros.
She'll surely watch this.
What a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'll try and get her to watch it, but I'll be honest with you, she's not very savvy with the technology. She recently wrote to me and was like, I understand texting. But it was just a string of text, like T, F, A, G. It was like, she's like sleeping on it.
We'll make an effort to send her the link. What we can do, we can make a clip out of this. So, Mama, mucho gusto. Que hombre guapo tú tienes. Muchas gracias por provenir. Ragazzo is Italian. Sorry. Guapo, where?
Guapo. I'll take guapo.
Chico. Yeah,
I'll take guapo.
Yeah. And sofisticado. Sofisticado is a good word. Yeah.
You sound like me. So, oye, mamá, necesito plata porque I'm going to the mall for zapatos and stuff's going to happen. It's that Spanglish.
Did you have that for a while of doing the English and the Spanish, mixing those languages?
Yeah, because my first language is actually Spanish. So my first language is Spanish because obviously I was down there. And then I learned English I think it must have been like 70. I'm going to date myself. Like 79, 1980.
Christ, how old are you?
We're going to talk about your birthday anyway. So I
yeah,
think
I just had the birthday.
Oh,
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
last- for
Cheers.
last week.
Yeah. So this is-
50th, eh?
salute. Yeah. Well, you say 50, but according to Facebook, I'm only 40. And according to
I'm
Tinder,
sorry, 40.
and according to Tinder, I'm only 28.
Yeah, my
And on
man.
Grindr, I'm like 22.
What is Grindr?
What is Grindr?
Yeah.
Grindr.
You don't know what Grindr is.
You don't know what Grindr? Really?
Man, you're as,
Oh, man, you should
bad
get
as
it.
his mum when it comes
How
to
do you not know what
technology.
Grindr is? I see you on there all the time.
Maybe I just want an explanation. I don't know what Grindr is.
Oh, so
You should go in there and have a look.
yeah, have a
Yeah?
look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
You might find something.
Yeah? It's not like OnlyFans, is it?
It's not like OnlyFans.
No. Oh, man. Someone is trying to put me into
Grindr
that.
is the Tinder for the gay community. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that's how I would describe it, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly
Okay.
how I'd describe it.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
So
I'll think about it.
Yeah. Think about it.
Thank you.
And lower your age by 15
Okay.
years.
So 40, we'll take the Facebook age, 40 years old. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Where were we before? You saying the age? I don't even remember where we were.
Oh, we were
before.
talking about So basically, I learned Spanish. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I learned Spanish first, and then when I got back to the U.S. and I was in Miami for a while, then there was a big emphasis on learning English, and then I ended up living with my dad. So after that, so I was living with my father, and it was just pretty much, and he's American, so. Or he's passed away, but so I guess he was American. I don't know, but at any rate, so I just English was the language spoken, so pretty much that's how I learned, and then took some classes and I speak that now. I'm very bad Spanish. That's
Right. If you don't use it,
you lose. Yeah, exactly.
kind
You
of-
lose it.
kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
lose
it's
it.
like riding a bike.
Yeah. Is it? I don't know. I've been speaking English. I've been speaking English for too long now, and my bike skills are not great. So I kind of just agreed with you.
Wait, how many languages do you speak?
Well, I would say
One.
half. Yeah.
So you can probably speak Portuguese, all right?
I can communicate well in Portuguese, in English, I would say. I understand Spanish very well. I'm a bit of a slower talker,
Yeah.
but if I'm in the mood, if I warm up, my Spanish comes up for sure.
yeah.
And I study French, so
Oh,
I
okay.
could pick up a little bit of French, but like it's work in progress. It's definitely not a thing yet. But I love it, eh?
Yeah, French is interesting. Well, two things. On the Brazilian front, in the U.S., it's I worked at Disney for a while, a long time ago, and I always remember we always have these like girls from like Brazil or something coming over, and the guys are always like, "Oh, Kasper, go talk to the girls because you understand them." And I'm like, they speak Portuguese, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's Latin based, it's the same. I'm like, it's not the same. It's a different language, man. You know what I mean? It's like
Quite different. We make
Quite different, yeah.
make sense of a lot of stuff, but even Portuguese from Portugal and Portuguese from Brazil, it won't be exactly the same. There's always some words
Different,
and,
yeah.
And if you wanna be a
Yeah.
dick and not let people understand what you're saying, you can, right? Like you can change expressions and everything. So
Yeah, it's like the. I actually remember being in France. It's funny you mentioned the French thing because I remember being in France, and then you hear that sexy accent, and you hear the accent, and then you just start like trying to say words like in French. Like suddenly you think you can speak French. You're like, oh yes, pardon, monsieur, yes, we would like to have un plat de un plat de cheese, cheese. Oh, but you know what? But you know what happened to me? So am I talking too much? I don't know how that was. So I have
we're here for that, brother.
So I was in a band. I was in a band back in New York, like in the mid 2000s, right? Kind of a crazy story how that happened. Basically, I had this friend of mine.
What was the name of the band?
Nuff Nuff 9. Nuff 9.
Is that German?
No, but or maybe. But the thing is, it's because I was in. It's named after my imaginary dog, Fifi. So,
Fifi.
oh yeah, Fifi's a wonderful dog. She's been with me now for 40 years, and not here today, but she's at home just hanging
Oldest
out.
dog
chilling
in the
out.
world.
Wonderful. I love you, Fifi. She's fantastic.
What sort of dog?
She's like a little like Pomeranian, like poodle.
Oh,
you know, like poodle
disgusting.
Pomeranian. Maybe it could be a Maltese, kind of mix.
Could be.
Could be.
How do you not know that?
I never know, but she's super cute and she's super small,
Little
and
bitch.
she's always with me, that little
So
bitch.
they're cool.
But I was in Cannes. In 2002. I was in Cannes for the film festival, and
Cool.
the hell do I know? I was everywhere I went. You know, they kept offering me things. Like oh, you wanted this drink, and you want this meal. And I was always like, noof. Noof. Merci, noof. And it wasn't until like the third or fourth day when somebody finally came up to me and they were like, hey man, why do you keep saying that? I'm like, what? He goes, noof. Like, why do you keep saying noof every time that they come up? I'm like, because I don't want it. And they're like, yeah, that's not the word for no. I was like, it's not? And he's like, no, that's the word for 9. I was like,
great.
but 9 means no in German. They're like, yeah, it's not Germany, it's France. It's wrong. And he goes, so I was confused. I was like, all right, well, what's the word for no in like French? And he just looks at me and he goes, no.
Yeah. Easier than you thought. How did you end up in the Cannes Festival? What was the thing to make it there?
That was the story.
Sip of whiskey. There
The
you go.
debut of the
Good
Human
stuff.
Centipede.
I was Who it was? David Lynch was the host that year.
Hey,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. David Lynch was the host, and there was some really good films that year. I remember Caspar Noé was there with The Reversible. I remember that one. Murder by Numbers with Michael Pitt. A few other things I can't quite remember, but well, I ended up there because at the time I had this. I have some friends who are into like filmmaking and whatnot, and at the time I was into like also writing, which I also do, and I decided to make this film, right? Because I was like, oh man, I could be an auteur, I'm gonna make a film. We're gonna make a film, and I made this horrendous short film called Dear Jen. It was horrible. I mean, it's one thing to write something. It's a whole nother thing to direct it, produce it, star in it. This little short 10-minute thing.
Were you all those positions in the thing? Did you do everything?
Oh yes, because why not? Why wouldn't I do that? A 2-day shoot,
Yeah.
and
If Woody Allen can,
if Woody can, I could do it for $800. Sure.
right?
So it was like, oh, man, we're gonna make this film, and then I'm gonna submit it to Cannes, and incidentally, it was shot on DV video, like the tape stuff from back in the day, and you have to have 35mm print, I think, to enter the Cannes Film Festival. I did not know that. That's an expensive endeavor. So I'd already booked my tickets, and we had a villa there with some friends, and I was like, look, I'm just gonna go there and I'll pitch my script because the film was crap. It was like you could see I know as a video person you probably appreciate it. And part of that film you could actually see the microphone coming down. It was like a foot. You could see the shadow of the person filming the thing. It was like the worst experience.
But the story was good though, right?
Yeah, the story was good. The festival was fantastic, and it was a good time. And then I ended up going to Monaco and got kicked out of Monaco.
Hey,
Yeah, that happened.
were you lucky at pitching your film, getting some exhibitions or something? Did it happen?
I was very lucky at partying. No, it was it was a good time. Yeah, we did meet a lot of people. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. And then nothing is a good ego blow. Like if you want a really good ego blow, for one thing, they have the red carpet, right? And then with your tickets, you get to walk it a couple of times or whatever the case is. And you have to wear a tuxedo. It's like part of the rules. So that tuxedo really smelled bad.
Oy.
After wearing the same tuxedo over and over and over again to walk this red carpet. And then you get the paparazzi people, right? And they're just coming out there and they're like, and they pose, and you're like, oh man, I'm like, this is fucking shit. This is great. I'm like, come on. And I had a few friends and Afka, my friend Afka, met her there, and she's this beautiful girl from Holland. And we're all like, and you're like, man, this is gonna be. I'm like, wow, man, And then the paparazzi comes up to you right afterwards, and they go, here's my card. You could buy your picture.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, they sell you. They take photos of you, and you're blinded by these photos. And then they try and sell you the photo, and you're like, yeah, I guess that's not.
Show business, hey, bro.
Show business. Well, that is the thing. Show business. You said it, yeah. Show business.
You've met. I bet you met so many people in the show business, right? Because you've got friends, you know artists, you've been involved with the music. Like, did you get a little bit like surprised when you started to notice that the glamour is a bit different from the reality of what's happening? Like what the image that people sell of these big festivals and these big things. It's just a bunch of humans trying to do the thing. Like
yeah. Oh, you mean like the difference between like the artist and like the art?
Yeah.
Oh, I always separate that. You have to separate that. That's something that you.
Because you made a lot of friends, right? Who were like on the charts. Like, did you work with? What was the thing with David Bowie that I read?
I knew you were gonna bring up the David Bowie thing.
Yeah, because I read it on the newspaper, and I'm like, I'm gonna save that shit to ask him in the show. I want to find out about that shit. What was that?
Yeah, I didn't work with David Bowie. I just met him through my friend Scarlett, and this is years ago. I don't know, year 2004 or something. I'm really dating myself. I was like, but I was. So the deal is this, like. In the early 2000s, let's say, right, there was a great growing movement in like rock resurgence music in New York City. You know, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but I can definitely speak for New York. And there was just this great like revival of like rock music, and a lot of my friends were sort of involved in that with these great bands that, you know, most of you probably you never would have heard right now, but you know, like there was these bands like. The Sex Slaves, Banana Fish Zero. I'm gonna promote them. You know,
yes,
the Sex Slaves, Banana Fish Zero, Joker 5 Speed, Drag Citizen, Super Villain, Honor Among Thieves is just to name a few. Apocalyptic, that was Aria's band, and it was just like this growing thing of like, man, this is gonna be like a next big kind of like, you know, push, you know, in that time period. And anyway, I got involved with these guys. And girls, you know, in the scene, it was like just trying to blow these things up. And my buddy Scarlett happened to be working at this like rehearsal space in the west side of Manhattan. And I was down in Miami because I was down there watching the Sex Slaves perform, you know, and I was just enjoying life, visiting my mom. And I got a phone call, you know, and then back then we had flip phones. So I got a phone call from Scarlett, and he was like, "Hey man, I know you're a big fan, but you know David's gonna be here tomorrow. Bowie, he's gonna be here tomorrow, and I can get you into the studio, man." And I was like, "Oh no, really? Like really?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, dude, yeah." So I called my stepmother right away because she worked for TWA or American at the time, and I was like, "Listen, it's very important. I get back to New York tomorrow, like today. Like I gotta book a flight. You know, just book me a flight back. You know, it's like Uber fanning out." And I remember, like I ended up like flying in and like literally going from there to the studio, and then. And yeah, so then I walked into this, and I was like, "This better be real," because you know, it was like this is like, you know. And I remember, I think it was cold. No, it wasn't cold, but I remember anyway. I walked in, and it was Bowie with Arcade Fire, which I didn't really know much about at the time, and they were playing London Calling, like just rehearsing like London Calling, and he was wearing these like cut off shorts, and he was kind of short. He's a lot shorter than I thought he was, you know. And he was wearing these like cut off shorts and had a tattoo. And I was like, shit, that is Bowie. It's like, he's like, Scarlett's like, because they work together all the time. So he's like, come. And he's you know, and Scarlett's a bit of a rock star in his own right. I was like, dude, wow. I'm like, you know, and I don't normally get like starstruck, let's say.
Yeah.
But I did that time. And so like,
it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but you know, but here's the crazy part. And the, you know, the crazy part is that like, at the end of them playing or rehearsing, he said, "Oh, Kasper, can you mind the desk? Because you know we take a break for like get some like pizza or something for lunch or whatever." Blah blah blah. So no worries. Hung out there for 20 minutes, and then he brings David up to me, and he's like, "Oh, David, yeah, this is Kasper. He's the one who's like, you know, he's a fan of yours." And David walks in, he's just like, "Oh, hi there, Kasper, man. How you been, man? How you doing?" I was like, again, I was like, "Oh my God, it's David Bowie." I'm like, and all my thoughts are like, "Oh." I learned to play Heroes was my first song on guitar. It's like I probably butchered it, but you know, I was like, oh, what I did? I was like, oh, hi David, how you doing? What's going on? You know, blah blah blah. And then we just ended up talking about like East Village and gentrification and art scenes, and we talked for maybe like 25, 30 minutes or so, chit chatting away, and he was just like the most thing is he was the nicest guy. He was like the super nice guy. From some celebrity that's so incredibly like high, not just as a celebrity, but or star rather, I would say, but also as an artist that I really love, like you know, and so giving. And then he went back to rehearse, and I went back there for a little bit, and then his manager came, and I had to leave. And then I talked to the guys that work around with him all the time. They're like, "Oh man, you know, but the thing with David, like, no work will get done. He'll just sit here and have pints with you and hang out and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Really? Yeah?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, he's like the nicest guy in the world." Which is why to this day, whenever I meet somebody who's like, let's say, famous or semi-famous, or just anybody who's like in a band or something who's being a bit obnoxious, you know, that kind of thing, or being like, you know, just like whatever, I'm always like, you know what, man, you're not David Bowie. He's the coolest fuck guy. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you being this way? Why are you being such like, whatever, you know, why are you being such a diva? You know, he's cool. Why can't you be cool? You know?
Yes.
So that's kind of my, that's that story, but yeah.
Do you feel like there's a big shift now that celebrities, it's much easier to reach a celebrity like on social media and stuff, and people are really showing what they're doing during the day? Like, do you see a big shift on the way that celebrities behave? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I was talking about this not too long ago. The idea, well, I think a lot of things have shifted in culture, but like, let's say just say celebrity culture of what a celebrity is and who can be a celebrity. It's become a bit more like ubiquitous and more democratic. I don't know if it's more democratic, but I don't think, like, I don't know, I was talking with somebody, like, let's name like current bands or current personalities that could sell out stadiums. I'm talking about like 50,000 seaters, you know, like 80,000, 50,000, 80,000, those big giant things. Like, you know, back in the day, you have you had the Madonna, you had definitely sell that, you know, Prince, you know, you had your U2, you had your Michael Jackson. You know, these people were like stars, you know, that could sell out arenas, you know, like, and now I don't know that I mean, like, there's still Metallica. Metallica can sell that out, I would think. But that's an older band, older generation. Yes, the Rolling Stones. They could sell, you know. But I'm talking about the newer generation. Like, let's say, like, you know, like current. Who do we have?
There's a couple of pop singers though, like Lady Gaga or Beyonce. They can probably sell in a stadium. Yeah, I mean, I imagine.
Gaga, like, so Gaga, Stephanie, Gaga. She's friends with my friend Tommy London. They play together sometimes. They play together. She invites him sometimes, and he's in a great band called the Dirty Pearls with Marty E. They were around for a while, and then I think they did South by Southwest, and I know he's open for her in Vegas and open for her in Shea Stadium and whatnot, because she's actually a very big like metal fan, a big fan of like rock music and metal, and there's some great. If you go to YouTube and type in Dirty Pearls and Lady Gaga, you'll be in for a treat. They do a little cover of Panama by Van Halen. Cool. Yeah. But yeah. I think she's what, I don't know. I guess 100,000. You know, I don't know. Beyonce, right? You know?
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like it's very different the way that we are consuming music and the way that the gigs are being sold. You know, like the prices are just ridiculous. Festivals. Because festivals are the big thing. Like now the pandemic is not done, but like it's changing again, and the festivals are coming back. And then you're like, look at the price of those tickets. You know, like,
it's crazy.
What the fuck? We were talking about Minor Threat, Fugazi,
$5.
Hardcore bands selling tickets. Money was different, but it's still right. You would go for a festival. Was that similar in New Zealand, like a few years ago, when you were much more in the scene of paying cheap for tickets?
For local bands, for sure. You know, sometimes it would be free, but it would still be like $5. You know.
Yeah.
And you grew up with the hardcore scene, right? You kind of like you were following that quite a lot, or that was.
That's funny. Yeah. This is great because you wore your Minor Threat shirt today. So just so everybody knows, you wore the Minor Threat shirt today. I wore the Misfits shirt today because it's the only one. It's the only shirt I've got.
And you got the CBGB.
I got the CBGBs over here, so representing that. Because for one thing, I was only supposed to be in New Zealand for 3 months, and now 3.5 years later.
What brought
going,
you to New Zealand?
Well, I was doing. My partner, she's from Matamata, number one, and we met in
Hi,
New York.
Molly.
Hi, Molly.
Hi.
And then we met in New York, and she wanted to move to New York. She loved it. She wanted to move to New York, and I was like, "No, I'm done with it for a bit. Like, I want to go. I want to go to your country. I always go to Bali, but I never quite make it to like New Zealand or Oz. I just
Don't bother with Australia.
Well, I already got. If you go to Bali, you're basically in Australia.
Show.
In certain respects.
It's the Brad Show.
But we had a
It's a waste of time. Everything just tries to kill you there.
Oh, that's another. That's
Probably worse than
Oh, I got a story about
We'll
that.
get there,
I
we'll
got a
get
great
there.
story about that.
We'll get there. Anyway, New Zealand?
Yeah, so I was starting this company up called Mentor Wolf, mentorwolf.com. Mentor Wolf, which is it's a learning platform. What's that?
That just cost you money.
It just cost me money, yeah. Well,
Every time you say something like that, it's
cha-ching, cha-ching,
$50.
cha-ching, cha-ching. I get my $2 coins on it. No, so basically it's an educational platform, which is like basically like you learn online, like kind of thing. Ironically, as I was doing that, this pandemic hit, and I was like, and then everybody's like, Zoom. And I was like, you guys don't even know what Zoom is, and then, because I've been in that space for a little bit before, and so, but anyway, I was developing this thing, and then, the 3 months turned into close to 6 months of development, and then this pandemic hit, and I was like, what is going on here? What is this? We didn't know at the time, And so then I said, oh man, I don't think I'm going to go back because New York was really bad. Back home in the U.S., it's been a rough couple of years. I know there's a different take here in New Zealand. I understand that, and I'm so fortunate and so lucky to have ended up in this country. Like so lucky. The way that this was handled, in my opinion, everybody's got their own opinions, but in my opinion, the way this pandemic was sort of handled, especially in the beginning, and people didn't have the. I've had personal deaths that have happened to friends of mine.
Yeah, the Brazilian side of the story is similar to what you're saying.
It's very similar.
We
Yeah.
relate to that.
Yeah. So I ended up staying, and then we did the lockdown, 6-week lockdown, a hardcore lockdown in Wellington, which was surreal because for me. Because there was really nobody on the streets. Like I was on the 14th floor apartment, kind of like a New York size apartment, like really tiny. And I look out the street, and like it was like a ghost town, and it kind of reminded me of 9/11 in a weird way. Like we just wouldn't see anybody in the streets, and you're like, Jesus, man, this is like
You can feel the tension in the air.
Yeah. I could definitely. And then I didn't leave. Man, we were wiping down groceries. remember this time. We were wiping down groceries. Only time we left was to go just to throw away like the garbage and to pick up some food. And that was a hardcore. And then after that, we said, hey, I don't feel like I'm living in New Zealand. I'm going to stay here for a while. I don't feel like I'm living in New Zealand. I feel like I'm living in a small city, USA kind of thing. And Wellington's a great city. I love Wellington. Absolutely love Wellington. But I wanted to just get out of that environment and maybe explore New Zealand and get someplace bigger. And then ended up finding this place up here in Whitianga. And Molly was like, I always wanted to live there. I was like, I don't know where it's at, but let's go. I'm up for the journey. And then she says to me, it's the sunny Coromandel. Yeah. Oh, it's the sunny Coromandel. I got up here. It was like Queen's birthday, right? And it was raining and it was foggy.
It was the middle of winter.
And it was cold. And I'm like, and I couldn't even see the ocean. It was so foggy. I was like, are you sure this is where you want to live? She goes, oh no, it's beautiful. I'm like, yeah, really? And then it proceeded to rain for like 3 months, like in a row. Remember that? It rained for like 2 or 3 months in a row. And I was like, oh, the sunny Coromandel. Yeah. I can hear that sunshine on the roof every day. Just.
Hey, at least you didn't end up in Matamata.
Yeah. Well.
No offense, Molly.
No, it's all good. And her dad's a jockey.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and he was in also the Lord of the Rings films. He's the tiniest man I ever met in my life. He's wiry and tiny and super cool and can ride a horse. I can't ride a horse. I don't know how to do any of that.
Can ride a horse real well, probably.
Yeah. Well, he's
Lucky.
long shot Malloy. Long shot Malloy.
There you go. And here you are in the beautiful Fitianga, living the dream.
Yeah, it's amazing. Met you guys.
Yeah.
When I first got here, I was a little. It was weird. It was weird because I thought like, first of all, we had gained a lot of weight from this lockdown. Like, I think a lot of people, was like, so I think it was the heaviest I've ever been, and like I was like, oh man, because we started with good intentions, and somewhere I have a photo. It was like, man, we're gonna do burpees. We're gonna do like shadow boxing. We're gonna do like 500 sit-ups. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And that lasted like 5 days. And then it was like, okay, we're going to do cake, Snickers. We're going to do like Whitaker's bars. We're going to do like...
Box of beer a day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's what I was doing.
A box of beer.
Yeah.
What
At the end, you're just, and then on top of that, you're like, and I'm going to write, I'm going to read. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, Tiger King.
What? Yeah, I know. Tiger King and, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon already? I might have started my box.
It's nuts. It's nuts. So we got up here.
Tiger King, so good.
Oh, no, that's all right. So I'm talking about in a minute. I have a fast talk because I'm from New York.
It's great.
But I got up here and I found this. We got this place and whatever, and then we're like, oh, let's get fit. And I found this boxing class with Tomati.
Yeah,
you know Tomati. Yeah,
Good
yeah.
man.
Everybody knows. He's the best.
Yes,
He's awesome. Love Tomati. So through Tomati, ended up taking this boxing classes, getting back into the shape. And then met Finn Butler. I don't know if you know Finn. Younger, his dad and his mom. They run the 50 City Cabs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Finn.
He's a punk rocker. The guy with the curly hair.
That's Cameron. I think tall, really tall.
Right.
He loves metal. I gotta bring metal to Fiddiang. We gotta bring metal. We gotta bring some metal and punk rock bands.
We got plans.
We got plans. Yeah.
Plans.
So I want to do like a punk rock happy hour. Anyway, but that being said, so he's so funny. I love that guy Finn. He's so funny because so Tomati was instructing us, and then Finn came in and he looked at myself, Molly, and there was another lady. He goes, oh, okay, so you're the oldest people I've ever trained in my life. So I was like,
great teacher.
Really, Finn? You're the oldest people I've ever trained in my life, but we're gonna do this, and I promise you're not gonna have a heart attack.
Wow.
Oh, you're
Yes.
old. You're really old. I'm like, dude, I'm not that old, man. Relax yourself. He's like, well, let's go. So we started like boxing, doing this boxing thing, and it was great. We all became friends, and then we became friends with his parents. And he's actually in the New Zealand Army right now. So
good man.
Shout out to Finn.
Shout out to Finn.
And to Tomati too. And then through Tomati, as we were doing this thing, says to me, he goes, hey man, listen, I got to do like a boxing thing this weekend. And, sometimes I work at this place called Smitty's. And I was like, yeah, he goes, it's like a bar, like a restaurant bar. And they do like these, like music nights, like with Vegas and stuff, and the weekends. And I was like, oh, okay. He goes, would you mind checking IDs? Would you mind like checking IDs for me? And I was like, oh yeah. What do you mean? Like just working the door, just like checking IDs, make sure people are over 18, and they're like, because that's 18 here, not 21, where I'm from. And I was like, he goes, just for like the night or maybe 2 nights. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. Sure, I'll help you out. Yeah, sure. Why not? And I went back home and I was like, yeah, I don't know what's up, but yeah, they want me to do this. I guess it's like a security gig, or it's like I don't know. I'm just checking IDs. And Molly was like, you got to do it. That's how you meet people in a small town. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So I went there, and everybody was super cool. Shout out to the Smeeze crew. Fleur, Paul, Brent, Cherie, the owners. Cookie, I love you, Cookie. Richie, Mikey. I hope Mikey's feeling good. Anyway, there's so many great people there, and so I met these guys and everything. They were just like family, like super super nice. And next thing I know, I'm on schedule. Next thing I know, I'm
on the roster.
Yeah. So I ended up going back to the house, and I was like, I think I got a job. It's like, you got a job? I'm like, I think I have a job. I don't even know how this happened. They're like, when was the last time you had a job? I'm like, 1994. So like,
What job was that in 1994?
In 1994, well, let's see, I can count the jobs. It was like, so I worked at the Sheraton New Yorker. I worked at the Sheraton New Yorker as a cocktail wait. I was working as a cocktail waiter in a cocktail bar on the 47th floor, like club level, executive loungy thing. And so I had that gig, and then after that, I got involved in New York City nightlife,
Right.
for real,
Okay,
for real, which is it was a whole different world in 1990.
Yeah. So before we go into the New York City nightlife, we can talk about like the differences that you noticed, because you just said something interesting. You know, like in America, the legal age 21.
Yeah.
New Zealand 18. You can drive when you're 16 and all that stuff. You know?
You drive when you're 16?
Is that right, Brett?
Yeah.
I can barely drive now. I don't know. I'm
To
still waiting to get my legal license.
It used to be 15.
Used to be 15.
When I set my
15?
license, I was 15. Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
So like
So crazy.
not just about that, but just like cultural aspects, especially when it comes to like alcohol and like going out and partying at the time that you party. What are the big differences in things that you miss from America or that you think that are very different here in New Zealand?
Yeah. So, and look, I need to be like clear. Like when we say America, I'm from New York and like Florida a little bit earlier. So I can't speak for like the Midwest or like even the West Coast. I haven't really spent much time out there, just a little bit, but not much. But I think I always feel like New York is so different from the rest of the country in a certain respect. So. And some of the views and et cetera, et cetera. And I have family in Tennessee. Hi, family in Tennessee. What was I going to say? So 21 is the legal drinking age. In the 90s, seemed like nobody really cared. We can go out and party when we were like, well, I was older then, but I regularly see people who were like, 15, 16, hanging out and doing stuff. And in Miami, when I was younger in Miami, like nobody really, I grew up in a bar. So, my mother owned a bar with her
Your
partner.
mom owns a bar?
Yeah, JR's. It was in like 1980 something. It was a big like Hell's Angel biker bar, which was like nuts. Because my mother's, I'm sorry, my mother's like partner at the time, he was Henry. He was an Auschwitz survivor. He was Jewish, Auschwitz survivor, and he was a little guy, kind of got this like balding head, and I'll never forget him because he passed away. He passed away 1 month before my father passed away. It must be about 13, 14 years ago at this point. But anyway, I'll never forget this because he kind of had this like commanding presence, and all these big dudes who were like, and there was always these rough fights going on, and there was, this sort of stuff. And there was a great bartender named Mickey, who I remember, who I loved. And there was a Cookie. There was a Cookie as well, too. Great girl, love Cookie. And different Cookie. And what was I going to say? And it was like a rough environment with like, but I could play Galaga. I'll just tell this story now because hell, I'm 50 now, 40. There was that game Galaga. You know that game Galaga? It was like a video game. You put a quarter in, and you play, and
like an arcade,
game, yeah, like a shoot 'em up, like a space thing, like Miss Pac-Man or any of those games, those classic arcade games. But he would give me these like this roll of quarters at the beginning of the night, like $10 in quarters, and I was like, this is like 82, 84 thereabouts. And I grew up in a weird way, and because at 12 you should be hanging out at the bar at 2 a.m. But he would give me these quarters, and I put the quarters in, and I play this game. I was so good at this game that I could play for like an hour or so, blah blah blah, like one quarter, and then sometimes I pocket the rest of the quarters. I put the rest of the quarters in my thing, and by the end of that summer I had like $500 something in quarters. But of course, because and I think this comes with the punk rock thing. I think a lot of punk rock is like kind of geeky as well. So back then I was really into like Dungeons and Dragons. I was like really into like D&D. I was really into like all these sort of things, and I was like, so I went out and got all the books, and
Gary Gygax.
Gary Gygax, yeah, exactly. TSR, right? TSR games. Is that big in New Zealand still? Because I met a couple of people that.
There's a few people into Dungeons and Dragons for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Taylor, are you? No, not your thing.
No, I'd say like I noticed when I was searching up footy on on Facebook for something, probably trying to find Fitty Chit Chat or some shit. There was like a Fitty Dungeons and Dragons.
Is it really?
Yeah, and I don't think there was many members though, and they were still looking for members. But if anyone wants, I'll play some. Oh, no, I haven't got time.
Bring it to the monkey house.
Hey.
Bring some LARPing.
Yeah.
I want to see like just go in there, swords and stuff.
We need
and this is the
ideas,
home
man.
of Lord of the Rings.
I know, right? But man, like, do you remember your mates? Like, would people respect that? And do you think nowadays people still respect this 21-year-old thing in America? Or
Yeah, it's much stricter, I think. In New York, I can only speak for New York.
Yeah,
in New York, it's
New
definitely
York.
much stricter now than it was in the 90s, and I'm sure in the 80s and 70s, you know. But yeah, I think that you know, I mean, of course, people still get through. You know, I'm sure. I know some security people, but they do a really more of a bang up job, and there's more of a liability. You know, there used to be a lot of after-hour clubs, and more. I'm not saying illegal things, but just stuff.
Loose.
Yeah, it was looser. Back like when I was in the heyday of the nightlife in New York, this you know because of this. This has killed a lot of nightlife. Just so you know,
The cell phone
The
for the
cell
people
phone
listening to this show.
with the video capabilities. You know what I mean? No, seriously, honestly speaking, I can define certain nightlife into pre and post like iPhone was 2007, because after this, it was suddenly like you could film everything.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're like, hey man, why are you filming this?
Yeah.
Oh, and then they got to post it on like, and then like when Facebook came out, oh, I'm gonna post it on Facebook. You sure this is the scene you want to be posting on Facebook? on your
Hey.
social media?
And there's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because like nowadays, a lot of the shit comes to light, which is in a way it's good, because a lot of people like they suffer abuse, or they are, you know, like they're being taken advantage of.
Yep.
And having this too of like having a group and having a voice online, it's so good. But I get what you mean for the people just having fun, not even doing anything dodgy,
Yeah.
you know, like just trying to have
Having a
some
good time.
privacy
Yeah.
and have a good time, you know, like, because unfortunately society makes us put this mask on and be the 9 to 5 guy, and we're not fucking that, you know, like we're all the things. We do love to, you know, have our moments, and then you're always worried. Oh, is someone looking? Is someone...
Yeah, exactly.
You might not even be doing anything dodgy, but you're worried about it. Like you limit yourself on your fun because you don't know who is watching you, who is doing what.
Exactly.
Hey.
And some of the events that we do back home, for example, so like more like adult themed events, like, you know, a fetish party, you know, swinger party, or any of those kind of.
Which you only have to be 18 to.
Hey, I suggested that
But we don't. You have to be 21 to attend these.
I suggested
we
a
still serve
swinger
alcohol.
party at the Monkey Theatre, man, live here.
You
The
want
show-
Can you buy? How old do you have to be to buy a gun?
Oh, in
America.
in America?
Yeah.
So look, don't
America.
quote me on these
America.
things, but I know at 18 you can have a gun.
So you can buy-
you can buy a gun for sure.
So you can't-
You can have a gun when you're younger. I mean, I've seen
yeah.
kids who are like.
You can't own one.
Man, if you want to get into that conversation, let me tell you.
Yes, please.
That's a whole.
I
Did you
find
bring a drink for me just before we get into the
Oh,
conversation?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
we
man,
usually
dude.
we always give drinks to our guests.
Yeah, I might have more of that whiskey.
Kasper
just
is
so you
so
know.
cool that he actually brought us a drink. He's a good man.
So I got you this stuff here. A couple of these things here.
Before we talk about the guns,
Yeah, before we talk about
and the audience changes.
Guns, nightlife. We can keep going on forever. Trust me. Listen, you got the Minor Threat shirt on.
Fucking great
And I got
band.
the Misfits shirt on. This is what I got. I know if you would have put a band shirt on. Had we
No
had we
one
known.
filled me in on the memo.
It would have been.
But I got you
I would have
this.
been wearing an antagonist shirt for the record.
Yeah. It was a Fugazi beer. Fugazi 2.2. And then look, I know you don't drink too much, so I got some tiny, which is 0% alcohol. It's from those guys.
Fuck, this is
down in Wellington.
amazing.
But it's a Fugazi beer. I'm like,
So
when I
is
saw
that
that.
Liberty City? Did you say who makes the Fugazi?
Oh, it's Garage Street Project.
I'll drink
okay.
it. No,
Yeah, down in Wellington. They're awesome.
Taylor,
They kind of
Taylor,
sponsor us a little
Taylor,
bit.
Taylor,
Nice
Fugazi
guy, real
is
nice guys.
Their beers are good, man.
Yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Fugazi.
traveling, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
have the non-alcoholic one.
And then you guys gave me this right here, Cora Days. What is this? Cora Days. Extra pale hazy.
Cortuna, bro.
These guys, Cortuna.
Yeah, man.
That's
Adam,
the spot,
good
right?
man. You guys should be in touch because
Yeah, man.
he would really suit the monkey.
The Monkey House.
Lounge.
Lounge and Cabaret.
Lounge and
Lounge and
Cabaret.
Cabaret. Yeah. We just wanted to mix it up a little bit because, you know, the thing is like, the theater,
No, I'm all good.
You know,
I don't
with
drink-
the theater
I don't-
size.
I don't like free fake beer.
Sorry. I'll give it a go.
Only like the real stuff, you know.
Chin chin, mate. Dot dot dot. Boom boom boom.
Cool.
Bottoms up.
So, it is a nice beer.
I haven't drank since my birthday.
So you cannot
2 days ago.
you cannot have a drink, but you can buy a gun in America.
And you can be absolutely rogered on camera.
But you know what?
Perfectly fine as well at 18, but not
There
to,
is
not
a
to drink beer.
yeah, but you have a Second Amendment right to have a gun. That's the thing. You have a Second Amendment right. Now, beer, there is no Second Amendment right of like must have beer. Or
Well,
are
there's
able to have
the
beer.
13th Amendment bringing back
That's correct,
undoing
prohibition.
That is a right.
That's right.
To a degree. To a degree.
We're into it.
I'm into that.
How were
brewery too,
how
13th
were your
Amendment.
perception towards these laws when you were a teenager? Like before you start traveling around the world and seeing how different countries are operating with that law, did it change your perception on like how the gun policy? Yeah.
Oh well, I mean, I'm pretty. I think I'm on the record for my stance on my views on gun ownership.
Share
and
it, please.
Pro guns, eh?
No.
I heard you're
I'm not.
I heard you're a Trump fan. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, big. Ooh, you know what I mean? I'm big
Trump fan,
big
big
Trump
gun
guy.
owner, you know?
Big, yeah.
Should we change the thumbnail?
Yeah.
Have you got the American flag in the background of this thumbnail of this one? You should have. Missed the opportunity.
Okay, we're gonna get into the stereotypes, but tell us about
Yeah.
this gun policy.
No, he's
that
a
you
Hillary-
know
Which is a lot of
He's
stereotyping.
a Hillary Clinton fan, I can tell.
That is something I will talk about later on with the American stereotyping, which I think is quite prevalent, not just here, but everywhere you go in the world.
Are you talking about what I'm doing right now?
Yeah, but that's okay.
Sorry,
I don't
man,
mind.
I'm
That's all right. I can do. Kiwis, they like pies. I don't know. Well, they do like pies. I don't,
Yeah,
know. I don't know what the Kiwi stereotypes are.
We like sheep.
Sheep.
sheep and pies
Velcro.
Do you know the thing about sheep
and milk.
Did you know
The
that,
milk fucking love, but look at the milkman.
bro? You know how much of a city?
man.
You know how much of a city kid I am? You know how bad it is. How much of a city kid I am.
I'm a city
when I
kid
came,
too,
When
man.
I came here, dude, God bless. I thought.
Did you milk the wrong cow? Did you
I
milk
thought
the bull?
sheep. Well, I thought sheep and goat were like the same thing. I thought goat were male sheep and sheep were like female
Oh,
sheep.
they're not.
And they're not. They're like two different animals. I had no idea.
Two different animals, you're
I
right.
had no clue. I was like, oh, I thought like, and then I was driving around and there was these cows, right? These cows. And they have the paddocks or whatever. And I was like, oh man, I feel bad. Like, what happens when like one cow falls in love with like another cow and then like, they move the cow away, and then it's like a sad. And my teacher was like, well, that is a sad lesbian love story. These are all female cows, Casper. I was like, they are? Really? He's like, yeah, where do you think milk comes from? I was like, the store? I was I don't know.
Great.
I was like, well, I don't know. So apparently, and I should know this because I'm a Taurus. There's a bull, and then there's female cows.
Yes.
Apparently.
Unless you're a farmer,
unless-
then you impregnate the cow. You inject something in the cow. You don't need a bull. Well, you need the sperm of
trans
the bull,
cow.
right?
You have a trans cow, I suppose. I don't know. Or,
yes,
non-binary cow.
But there you go.
Stud. They're called.
They call it stud?
Yeah, they're
A stud?
studs. Yeah, like stud farming, like the same as like horses and shit.
I learned
Stud
so
farm.
much.
That's where all the
Always-
male horses are. They give all the cum, semen. I mean, sperm. I mean,
You can make money out of that. See? A lot.
Well, I like business. So but I also like to outsource. So
yeah. Cool.
but cows and bulls are like heaps of mammals, right? Are called
is
cows
the,
and bulls. Like elephants and whales and shit. They're all cows and bulls, male and female.
True.
Oh.
Mammals.
A lot of different mammals. Not all.
Oh
but-
yeah, there's a song about that, I'm sure.
Hey, we're going deep. Go back to the gun policy.
What are we talking about? What are
The
we talking
gun
about before?
policy.
Oh, the gun policy. You guys
Because
want to
you
know
said
about that?
you were because you said you were quite like outspoken.
Everybody's fascinated about that. Look, I'll tell you this much. Here's the funniest thing that happened to me in New Zealand. There's so many, but here in Whitianga. So I met somebody at a party once who told me they were a gun nut. They're like, oh, I love guns. I love guns. Guns are great. I love guns. I have guns. I love guns. And so I'm talking to the guy. And he's talking to me about that. And one day he can't wait to get to the U.S. He's never been. He can't wait to get to the U.S. And he was like going on about firing guns and this sort of thing. Blah blah blah. And so I just let him talk. And then finally I said to the guy, I did say to him, I was like, so like I don't know, like, so what do you own? Like, I don't know what kind of guns do you have? Because I know. And he goes. First I said to him, I said to him, I said, so you got like you have like AR-15 or like, and he goes, Oh, no, AR-15 or anything like that. I was like, okay, what kind of handgun you got? You got like a Glock? You got like a 48? What do you got? He goes, handgun? No, mate, you can't have handguns here. That's crazy. You can't have a handgun here. I was like, he goes, oh, but I got a 22, you know, and I was like, a 22. I was like, dude, you know what 22 is? 22 is like the age in months where we give our kids an AR-15. You know, I was like, what are you talking about? 22? It's like one step above a BB gun or something. You know what I mean? But for like pest control and for this
That's
sort
all
of
we
thing.
use it for is pest control and learning to shoot.
And and then I know there's hunting and all that sort of thing. And I'm not against I have to say I'm not against that. That's not what I'm against. What I'm against are like, you know, high caliber like magazines, you know, those you know, the locks that turn into like an automatic weapon. And let's be clear about certain things. I know both sides of the issue, so people will be like, nah. Look, I understand that automatic weapons and like, you know, have been illegal in the U.S. since like the 30s or whatever, machine guns and whatnot. That's not legal. You can't have that. But you can have a high power like AR-15, which I also understand looks menacing, and you can have the argument of like, yeah, but if you change that stock to like a wooden stock, there's no difference between this gun and this gun. I'm like, yeah, even though every single shooter seems to use this particular gun, I know why you have it. I know you got it because you know, it's easy to like, you know, modulate and do this and do that. I know it's your right. I understand that it's your Second Amendment right, okay, under the Constitution to have guns. You know, I completely get your argument on that. However, I would argue
the however part.
I would argue, okay, that when you have these like open carry states, and everybody's like, well, they should just get used to wearing a gun. Look, I put my pants on, I put my shirt on, and then I put my side piece on, and then I got my AR-15, and then I walk to the Walmart, and I walk into the McDonald's, and why are people running away from me? What's wrong? I'm just a patriot doing my duty, protecting my Second Amendment rights. I'm like, dude, you're a dick. Like, you can't figure out, especially with all the mass shootings that take place in the U.S., of which I was a bit of a part of one a long time ago, you know, and the things I saw, and you can't figure out why, you know, you're intimidating looking, and especially when you wear all tactical gear like an asshole, like walking around like, you know, oh, I'm a patriot, dude, you're an asshole is what you are, and you're scaring people, women, children, me, people in general, you know, with well, it's my right. I'm like, well, you know, how about if I showed up to like a schoolyard or something, and I was like, you know, like, well, I got a G-string on. It's not showing anything. It's my right. It's my right. It's my right. It's my right to be here. I got clear pants on. It's my right. You know,
I think
I'm
as
wearing
well.
clothes. Technically, and then somebody says technically. Technically, I'm wearing clothing. I'm like, technically, you're. A bit
They
of a
forget
douche.
I think a lot of people also forget the reason for that as well, for that right. You know, like you don't.
What
you
is
don't
the
need,
reason, Brett?
It's from what I understand, it's so that you could form an if needed be, you'd know a lot better than this, but you might as well be tested on American.
But it's your opinion on this.
The way I perceive it, or how I understand it, is that if there would needed to be an uprising against like a tyrannical government, you could form like an armed militia.
Yeah.
Right.
Like in January.
It was the way of back in the day when they created it, when the intentions were a whole lot more pure, was to be able to go, okay, if this government in the future gets tyrannical, there's a check and balance to it, and that would be an armed population to be able to go, well, we'll have to fight against your military, you know,
With your musket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But like,
wouldn't that also be an excuse for a massacre? Because if the government is providing the opportunity to have one, it means that they are very well prepared to beat a population that has some sort of guns. They will be much more powerful. And if you come with guns against them, they have also the excuse to go with real guns after you.
I suppose it depends on how you want to look at it.
If the people rebel and go after it, the government will kind of have to fight back in a way, right? If you give that right to people, it sounds like a domino.
Well, I would argue.
But if they're a tyrannical government, they would, of course.
Sure. I mean, but I would argue if you're that afraid of your government and military, you know, listen. But
You don't need it in McDonald's, though, right?
What's that?
My point was before, anyway. You don't need that in McDonald's.
No, you don't even have
Like,
McDonald's. Don't be
you're not
ridiculous.
fighting a
This is-
tyrannical government in McDonald's. You don't need to be
these are
wearing
people
a
that have,
on your
like,
back,
some sort
you
of-
know.
Yeah.
a hero complex, which is I think is a big thing in the U.S. A hero complex sort of situation. I'm going to be the hero of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I just want to say, but on that note, I just want to say it's very interesting to me that like if you're going to be so afraid of your government that you think that the government has the power to address, say, like the military or whatever, to fire upon its own citizens. Like imagine your military here in New Zealand, just for argument's sake. Like imagine that, I don't know, Jacinda or whoever says to the military, and says, hey, look, we got to start firing upon all these people here and start like massacring them. I think the people there would be like, I'm not shooting my own. Is that what I'm going to do? Like, I'm going to shoot my own,
Plus,
like,
when
blah,
the
blah, blah,
50,
blah, blah, like,
plus when the 50 soldiers show up,
yeah.
just overwhelm them with brute force. And
Well, Kiwi protests are the cutest things I've ever seen in my life. This is the cutest country ever. It really is. Because Molly showed me, I'll never forget this. Molly showed me this thing.
Great.
I know in 81, I think it was 81, there was like a riot, like because apartheid with South Africa, the Springboks, yeah. So that it was like, will they play? Will they not play? Are they going to play? This and that. And so Molly shows me this video. It's like an hour-long video, right? And she's like, because I went to go see a rugby game. I don't know much about rugby, so I've been learning. So I'm getting educated. So anyway, so I went to this game, and before we went there, it's like a bit of New Zealand history. This is something that happened here, and it's very sensitive. I said, okay, fine. So I go and watching this video, and it's an hour-long video, and I'm getting to like minute 48 in this video, right? And I'm like, okay. And there's like some kind of rioting going on, a little bit of like, there's a pitchfork, somebody's wearing like a gridiron, like a helmet, and a few like, and signs and stuff. And finally, somebody overturns a car. Like a car gets like the mob overturns his car, right? And I'm like, here we go. And I'm waiting.
that's the apex, though, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And finally, I just turn around and look at her. I go, are they ever going to set this fucking thing on fire? And she goes, fire? Heathens? No, we're not going to set it on. Why would we set it on fire? I was like, and then this guy comes in at the stadium because the game went on in the stadium, and the guy comes in with like a plane. And I'm from New York, so I have a bad history of like planes and buildings. And I'm like, oh, geez. The guy comes in and he sticks his hand out and he's dropping flour bombs, like bombs of flour. And I was like, oh my God, I love this country. When they riot, they give you baked goods. I was like, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Different ways, to fight
different ways
for your rights.
Even recently, like I was so proud because something actually got set on fire in Wellington. But no, I was like, but that guy with the gate, he like, smashed the gate, and then picked the gate right back up. I was like,
sorry.
God, I love New Zealand. I love New Zealand.
But what you're saying about the gun policy? So, for example, in Brazil, you cannot have it. Like it's not legal to have a gun. However,
At all.
But they're everywhere. Yeah, I know.
But that doesn't mean that people don't have it.
Yeah, of course.
You
That's
know,
like Mexico.
obviously.
But you can't legally own a gun.
Well, you can go through the course and get a license, but
so like
it's
here then.
very like
You have to have a
strict.
license.
There's a lot of conditions and it costs. So like this current government was trying to make a move to make it easier because they are kind of like military influenced and that's what they believe, like so there was this push to trying to bring those
Very
laws
right-wing
into
with
action. Yeah.
Bolsonaro, right?
Bolsonaro, yeah, just a sad person, who doesn't know much about compassion and anything. But anyway, but that doesn't stop people from having, especially if you're like a policeman or whatever. And what I see, for me, what is upsetting about the gun policy is that it will always win an argument.
Yeah.
So you lose the ability to talk to a human and to try to solve a problem the way that you should. It's always like, who's got the biggest dick? Nah, who's got the biggest gun? Like you become a better man. You're tough, because you carry that gun. So for me, like, it's very hard to accept that it's a right of a human. I'm kind of like, well, if you go by that, like, we can do pretty much anything. Like on an anarchist society, you know, like you would be able to do any of that. Like it doesn't mean that it's good for
Yeah,
people.
you're right. Let's do it.
Well, anarchy has a lot of principles that if you really go down to it, like it will make a lot of sense. But like with people living in capitalism and having competition as the leading motivation in life, you know, like, you know,
you really want to go down that road of like ultra capitalism, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, please.
I mean, but we get with the gun thing. I'll tell you something. The two things with me. Look, I mean, I've been shot at multiple times in my life, which is never a fun thing.
Got shot?
Yeah, I've been shot a few times. Shot at a few times in my life previously, and then you can even talk to Molly. Molly's been on the phone with me a couple times when there was like shootings in Brooklyn. When I was in Bed-Stuy, and it's scary, man. You know, the lady with the pram running, and then boom, 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 and you always see the helicopters come by. It's nuts, man. But I remember like in two things, like in 90. I want to say 95, maybe. I don't know what year it was, but I remember my father was having a heart surgery at the hospital in Long Island. And, you know, at the time I smoked. So I went downstairs to have a cigarette. And, you know, and I hate hospitals. I really dislike hospitals. And God bless those people because, you know, I'm always like, you guys can do that job. I'll stick to nightlife. So I go downstairs and there's police and there's just people coming in, just blood everywhere, man. Just blood. I mean, it was horrible. And I'm stepping back. I'm like, who wants to work in this environment? This is like the ER, like a terrible environment. But I thought that was like a normal thing. You understand? Like I thought that was like a normal thing. And it wasn't until like, you know, half an hour later or so when I found out, no, that was a massacre. It was called the Long Island Massacre. And
I've heard of that.
Yeah, you can look it up on YouTube, I'm sure, or whatever. But I was there. And what ended up happening was this crazy gunman, Colin something, I think his name was, but you know, anyway, he came into the a tram in the railroad and started firing on people, and unfortunately, like shot and killed a bunch of people. And those victims, I saw them going into the hospital, and my dad had been doing heart surgery now for about 90 minutes, and they weren't able to like bring him out of it. They had to continue the thing. And they had to fly in doctors and bring in doctors from all over to treat these victims. And when you see like the carnage and you see like what these weapons can do, okay, I think the visceralness of that changes it will change a lot of people's mind. I think that once you get fired upon and you're being shot, you go, hey, you know, this is not, you know, some I don't know, Hollywood thing or whatever. But you see that, and then you spend time with the victims. You know, these are just people that went to work. They went to work. And they were coming home, went to work, coming home, and then this happened. You know, and that changed, I'm sure, a lot of people's lives. You know, it certainly made an impression on me, and my ideas of that. And I hadn't thought much about that, you know, prior to that, but that particular day was pretty horrible. And oftentimes when I see people doing memes all the time, they're like, you know, in Switzerland, and it's always these two hot girls with like their bicycles and their like rifles. In Switzerland, everybody has guns, and there's never a mass shooting, which is not true. I think there was at least one. Okay, number one, and number two, you know, I think they have to check out their bullets. They have to like, you know, it's very strict. They don't have a military. They are the military. It's Switzerland, different culture, this sort of thing. And then people will say the other thing, which I get it. They're going to say, well, you know what? You take away guns from the citizens, only the criminals are going to have guns, and ... But, you know, maybe there's another solution. Definitely, I think higher penalties, you know? Okay, well, you get caught with this thing. Oh, now you're doing automatic 10 years, you know, or you're doing something, or there's a way to regulate or something.
I don't see what the problem with licensing is. Like, why can't they just, like, you can still have it as a right, and although is it a right for everybody? No.
Yeah, it's everybody.
Well, what if I'm...
Well, no, I'll tell you about not a felon. Not a felon. If you're a felon, from my understanding in the U.S., no, you don't have that right gets taken away from you.
Or underage.
Which I've always find a bit interesting if you have a right. You know, how do you take away a right? Because, or if you're, but I mean, I've seen really young kids, you know, handling guns, and everybody wants
but it's the same here. Like, we handle guns since we're like 5 years old.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's only 22 though, right? But I don't see what the issue is with licensing. Like, I think that's great. You know, although New Zealand doesn't have licensing and like they should keep track of guns. Tracking guns is voluntary in New Zealand.
So when you say license, let me ask you what you mean. Like, you mean licensing to own the weapon and then
No,
then
license to own any weapon. Any gun.
Any ammunition? Like,
Yes.
should you be allowed to have 10,000 rounds?
I think. What's wrong with having 10,000 rounds?
Well, I mean, I wonder what would you do? Here's my question to you.
What could I do with 10,000 rounds? Even if I was
what would you
sinister?
do about a person, right, who's legally buying arms after arms after arms, and since maybe you see social media things, and he's saying a lot of things about like recently I know this one about like my school and et cetera, and you think to yourself like this guy could be a danger. What do you do about somebody like that? But legally
you can only
buying,
fire one gun at a
they're
time.
stocking up, aren't they?
But like, if you got 10,000 rounds and 100 guns, you can only still shoot as fast as you can pull the trigger and one gun at a time.
Still
So
shooting.
if they
You
want
know
to
how
waste,
fast this is to pull a trigger?
if they want to waste their money,
I-
that's what I'm saying. But yeah, so how fast someone pulls the trigger, that wasn't the question. Like, what are you going to do with all the other guns? You're still just one gun.
Okay, well, I know that the Vegas
So
shooter.
if someone's buying up a lot of guns, I don't
Sure.
understand the reasoning
okay,
behind
well,
buying
I don't
a
know.
lot
I
of
mean,
guns.
the Las Vegas shooter, for example, which nobody seems to talk about much these days
we
for
just
some
were
reason.
talking about that off air before, right?
Yeah. Well, that guy checked into his hotel room, and it was not on the radar or anything like that. He had multiple high-powered like weapons, with the trigger lock, et cetera,
And the
throughout
bump
his
stocks,
hotel
yeah.
room. Like there was one here, one here, one here. When he fired, and that was done, and it got too hot. I think the gun threw that one away, picked up the next one.
I
Firing
get
into a
that then.
festival.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
I don't see that someone buying a whole lot of guns though would be for me that wouldn't be a trigger for, no pun intended, for someone wanting to commit a.
no. I mean, and I
massacre.
do know people who have
Like
like.
I've known people who've got hundreds of guns.
I do.
Yeah,
like
as
literally, like an armory.
And I've also had those people call me up and tell me, and just so you know, in the past, I've also had those people call me up with a little bit of this, very upset over a breakup or whatever the case is, threatening to end their lives, trying to talk things off the, and I'm like, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, you're right. We should ban
I don't know what to
alcohol.
say about. I don't know what
Should ban
It's just,
alcohol.
how's this? Yes, ban alcohol.
You're right.
Legalize
You're
weed,
right.
ban
You've convinced me.
But let me ask you. But my thing is this: it's not even me. We just looked at the statistics. I mean, it seems to me that more homicides and suicides take place with guns in the
Excess.
U.S.
Of course.
in the US
than
for
whatever.
sure.
And I've got the people who okay. But
I mean, we should ban rope as well.
But if you
Too
bring
many
that
people
over
hang
here,
themselves.
sure. And my friends go, we should ban spoons because cholesterol and da 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 da. Hey man, I don't know what to tell you. I mean that you're eating your cholesterol is not really totally affecting me. You're not gonna go out and what about knives? You can use knives and stab people with knives. Yeah, I know. I've seen it happen. Or with cars. Yeah, I know. But not 50 something.
So in New Zealand, right, you have to sit a license to own a gun, and you have to prove that you have somewhere safe to lock it. So they will physically come to your house and look at your gun safe.
But you don't have a Second Amendment, right?
No.
So it's not a right.
Yeah, but I'm saying what's wrong with licensing? Like, say, if a right's for everyone, how come felons and people who are underage can't have a gun?
Well, that's my argument. I mean, I've said that as well.
I'm not arguing with you. Like,
Well, that is my
I'm really
argument.
enjoying
That
this.
is my argument. I mean, my argument is like, if it's a right, like I don't know, like breathing, then you really shouldn't be able to take it away from felons.
clean water, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. And no, it's not like the gun activists don't have points.
Yep.
I agree that they have points. I agree, but I do think it's a bad law. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, what about this? Then you just got to be able to track where your guns are. You can own the gun, but like obviously there's restrictions on what guns you can buy, right? Even in the US, and there's definitely restrictions on what guns you can buy here.
you can't buy automatic weapons, from my understanding. And,
So there is restrictions. So if they obviously like they could either increase restriction and then go, okay, when you buy a gun, there's a stand down periods and things like that. So it's still your right to own a gun, but you got to go through all the proper checklists, right? Which some states don't have that so much. So you can go to, I know you could go to like a gun show,
Yes.
and you can buy weapons from a gun show. But if you go to
and
the
private sale.
yeah, if you go to the shop, yeah, and private sale here in New Zealand, that's different as well. Like that's just on the person to go, oh, can I see your gun license?
Hey, what do you think? Listen, what do you think all these guns? Trust me, I know. I live in
Should track
Bed-Stuy.
the weapons though, I reckon.
Like, where do you think all these guns come from in New York City? It's illegal in New York City to have guns. They come from Virginia, Pennsylvania. The guy, the NASCAR that I
those
told
bastards.
you about, he got it legally in Florida. Bought a bunch of guns in Florida. But I know that there's a pipeline from Pennsylvania, Virginia, and these places to bring those guns in illegally. And because the bottom line is you could buy it for a certain price there and triple your market once you get into the city.
The way that I see this is that like sometimes we forget to go a little bit deeper and remember that rich countries, the way that we call rich countries, most of them rely on the military production, so we're feeding an industry that could be focusing on so many other things, like in the economy, the way that it is pretty much based on making weapons and guns. So like for me, this conversation really stays on the surface of like, it's never good, like it's never good. It doesn't matter like, oh, it's my right. I get your point, but like, I don't agree at all. I'm like, this is keeping us so behind because like it's
I don't
always,
agree with the
it's
right thing
always taking to a point of like, we can solve this with a gun. Like for me, it always hits that point. Like it doesn't matter. Oh, but it's my right. Yeah. But you might get to the point that like you're going to try to solve a problem with your gun and then you just lose your
in
plot,
Florida right now, in New York, I mean, the gun violence is crazy in New York right now. If you just look through the, just YouTube gun violence NYC right now, and you'll see what's been going on over there. But yeah, how hard is it? I mean, I can not see that it's not going to escalate. Like that's my burger. No, that's my burger. That's my burger. Fuck you.
That's it,
bah,
man.
bah, bah. Oh yeah, fuck
man.
me. You know what? Fuck you.
Bah.
Boom.
That's Brazil.
You want to know?
Brazil.
Exactly. I watch City of God. City of God. You know that film, City of God?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
we were talking about it yesterday.
Film.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like it's an everyday thing. And you know what's very common in Brazil as well?
Stand your ground laws.
Mom dropped the gun. The child found it. And then you say, oh, but you got the security. Yeah. But how many people actually bother worrying about the security of the gun at home? Like children find stuff. And then what do? They put in the bag.
On, man.
And then they take. And so like for me, that's always the thing. Like we keep arguing, but it's my right. It's the same thing with the freedom of speech nowadays. I have the rights from freedom of speech. You're a dick. You don't even know what responsibility comes with that.
Of course.
Like let's talk about responsibilities when you have an opinion first before talking about freedom of speech. What do you want to talk about? What do you want the freedom for? What do you want to talk about? Oh, I want to talk about blah, blah, blah. Do you know what you're talking about? Do you have any idea of what you're covering? Cool. Do you? Cool. So yes, you should. Or you just trying to put an opinion out there. Especially for us, like with a platform that other people listen to us. I think you have to be very careful, with the way that you put things there. Because like, children are watching this, like students come to me, hey man, I
curse a lot, I'm sorry.
No, but like honestly,
no, I think it's like,
teachers curse, like everybody has their thing, like
they shouldn't.
I know, right?
No, I didn't swear when I was at school.
I didn't say that I do.
No, I do hear there's a lot of swearing at school though from my kids, but that's all right.
Really?
Carry on.
Okay, there you go. Anyway, I think
you're in trouble now.
A freedom of speech.
I don't swear it. I say that some do because I heard it too. And when I do, I apologize. But
this is an issue that's
I love swearing, just for the record.
Traditionally was a left-leaning issue, right? Freedom of speech, that has now been sort of co-opted by more right, sort of like wing-ish.
Kaspar, you know where we should...
The left has got the
good
spec
Trump?
down, doesn't it? The left has gone the other direction.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, like the far left in the way of
The
like
far
they've gone away from freedom of speech and more suppressing it. Especially in like, say for example,
give me an example.
Like identity politics or something like that.
Yeah, but give me an example. Like, because somebody gave me an example the other day, and they were, do you mind if I don't? Oh, you're the best. Thanks, Lee. I appreciate that. I'll give you a good example. Somebody brought this up to me the other day. They said, with the far left and they're suppressing the freedom of speech. They even want to ban Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss. And I was like, who told you this? Did Fox tell you this?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know a single person who is upset about this Dr. Seuss thing. That was an in-house publishing decision. Okay, the book wasn't selling well. Okay, it happened to have some things that were offensive. Let's say.
I love that you're talking to me like
okay,
I
and they were like,
Seuss,
they made a decision. They made a decision. I'm just saying they made a decision. They're like, we're not going to sell this book anymore. And somehow that got translated into like, the left wants to ban Dr. Seuss. I'm like, no, they don't. They just don't want to sell a fucking book that's not selling.
So my examples are like, for example, on social media, you'll see like around identity politics, like you know, like trans people, things like that, and gays. Like, if you say the wrong thing in those, like dead naming someone, like, you know what that is? They like.
What does dead naming?
So, like, if you called Caitlyn Jenner Bruce Jenner, for example.
Oh, yeah, like I know my
right?
daughter just called me about this actually before
like,
I came here.
So, like, I've seen stuff like that on social media where the left people, I mean, you can tell they're left, right?
Yeah,
because they're
right, yeah.
wigging out about it, and like that's a thing where they're actually taking away. That's like the opposite of freedom of speech.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So,
know,
like, what we're talking about is,
freedom
like,
of
for
speech
example,
should-
like pronouns, they,
Yeah.
it, etc. Look, I've had people who have said that to me, and my daughter actually just called me about this because she's working with somebody, and I guess the person was like, you know, saying, why do you keep calling Demi Lovato she? She's non-binary. She wants to be called they or something. First of all, I had no idea.
You don't know,
I have no idea. She didn't know either. I'm like, well, she was a she, blah, blah, blah. Look, I mean, look, I'll call you whatever you want, but don't assume that I'm
know.
supposed to know. Number one. There's two. I have two issues.
I don't think they have a problem with that though, eh? Like, people who are not binary, they wouldn't have a problem with you calling them she, I imagine, if you didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, go give.
Well, she apparently
If you just, like, go give
apparently
her
this
that-
person did, according to my kid.
Right.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, because she called me today. I was like, "How was I supposed to know that I was supposed to call?"
Oh,
they?
fuck them then.
And that's what I said. I was like, "That's ridiculous."
I
this
use the
this
proper
person's
pronoun.
ridiculous.
But guys, but then we
ridiculous.
can also not forget that a lot of people who are in those situations, maybe they come from, like, who knows, a trauma thing, and
Sure.
they might not deal that easily with the fact that they're going through that. You know, that's when the empathy comes into place, right?
Of course.
If we tell them, fuck you, like, you're not helping. At those moments, I think
I'm not
even if you
talking to
don't,
any-
if you don't want to, even if you don't want to, it's like, cool, sorry, I didn't know. Can I
Well,
call
nobody.
you
Look,
from now on?
I just put on the record real quick. I have a lot of friends who are transgender, you know, transitioning, transgender,
learn
et cetera, et
so
cetera.
much, hey,
Like,
every
yeah,
day.
I mean, you know, but I've had for years. I mean, I've worked with, you know, queens. I've worked with, like, you know, and just friends, and, you know, and just in general. I mean, like, you know, that's not an issue for me. But even, like, the people that I know of, this, it's a generational thing, I think, because of this generation. They're like, you know, I know a lot of people who the drag king. I got my good friend Lou. Hi, Lou. You know, Fudgy. She's awesome, and she been doing drag and drag king stuff for years. Over in San Francisco, and I remember we were talking. And she was, oh, you know, like, what do we call? How we, you know, but the same thing with me. But also, like, the and then there's also, there's got to be, like, in my opinion, like, just some limits on certain things. Like, the big issue is, which I shouldn't know totally get into, but it's like you know, with sports. You know, I'm not a huge sports person.
I fucking love this conversation.
Yeah, I know that you're gonna love this conversation. I know. No, but it's true. It's true. Let's just be honest about certain things. Like, in my opinion, like, you know, you go like, hey, look, you know, if you've had certain biological advantages in life in the earlier years, and
You
you
mean
transition
being
later
born
on.
a man? Yep. Well, being born male, should I say? Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking
I
about?
suppose. Yeah. If that's what you want to define,
For
that
sports.
sort of thing, and then you know, you can't have, like, UFC fighters, for example. I know, you know,
Joe Rogan's big on that, eh?
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm not a huge Rogan fan, but or not against, not whatever. I just there's some opinions that he's expressed, and I go, oh, but that being said, like, but I really like reasonableness in certain things. You know, like, there's a reason, and on both the left and on the right. But if you're a centrist, you know, or a center left, let's say, like, probably like what I am or some other people, you know, you don't get the votes. You know, you don't get the attention. The far right gets the attention. The far left gets the attention, if you want to say, in those extremes politically and socially. And then, you know, there's reasonableness somewhere around here. I feel you find a bit of a truth. I don't care. I want good ideas. All I care about is good ideas, and also, like, execution of those ideas. Because I have a lot of people who come up to me with good ideas that don't want to execute anything. I'm like, well, I don't know if you want to, especially at the Monkey House or other places. I'm like, hey, man, you want to put that together? Let's put it together. Let's put some effort into it. Let's put some time into it. Let's do something. Now, the right, you know, at least in the U.S., I can only speak for the U.S., you know, like, you know, they're always very unified. You know, and that's the thing about the right that, you know, I think most liberal left-leaning people will admire, whereas the left tends to be a little bit more fractured, you know, and politically, and I think that's been an issue, you know. You know, maybe you don't agree with everything that this person says, but he's basically on your side. You know, give that one thing up. Compromise a little bit. The right, boom. We're voting. We're voting. You know, it's I don't know.
Kaspar, do you want to say something on that? Because I want to just
go for it.
I just kind of want to slightly touch on a different subject, but it's kind of part of it. Because we talked about the stereotypes a couple of times, right? Like how people perceive Americans, you know, like and it happens to Brazilians as well.
Annoying.
You know, so like we had
And
this
Colombia.
conversation. And Colombia.
Oh man, my mother couldn't be more happy. Let me tell you, my mother could not recently Encanto. Like she is so happy, my mother, because this movie came out, Encanto, and she called me up about it, and she's like, you know, was it? I think it was Lin-Manuel, you know, and he was like, and she's like, you gotta see this movie. Encanto. It's in Colombia. It's a house, you know, Encanto. Oh, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I said, okay, I go watch it. So I watched the movie. It was great movie. It was a lot of fun. But now my mother.
A Disney movie?
The Disney movie, yeah.
It's
the cartoon, and it's the first like Colombian one that I can think of. But the best part of and you can see her crying.
Oh.
You can see her crying, and she goes, Encanto, I love it. And you know, from now on, when they think of Colombia, nobody's gonna think in cocaine. Nobody's thinking Escobar. They're thinking Encanto. And in my mind, I'm going like, well, it might take a little bit more than that. But yes, you're very right, Mom. It's Encanto.
Disneyland, cocaine. Give me a couple of days to choose which one we prefer.
I'm like, Narcos is still popular on Netflix, but Encanto. But there's a stereotype, and I do think they heard.
Series too. I really enjoyed that.
Which one? Narcos?
Yeah,
it's a great series. And there's other,
Brazilian actor. Was Pablo Escobar.
He was, yeah.
Was a Brazilian actor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wagner.
That's good.
Yeah.
But in America, we get, and I have some friends from overseas, and they always have this like this idea that we're all exactly that. It's like, oh, it's gun toting and like freedom. You know, freedom's freedom. And they always make fun of you.
Say America.
America. Freedom, gun toting, trucks.
There's some
realist
clips there.
So many tonight.
You know, blah blah.
That's for you, my friend.
But that's not the case. First of all, it's 350 million people. Well, COVID 349 million. And
how
who
many
knows?
killed 1 million people?
It's over 1 million right now. Yeah.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people should look these things up. And I know they're going to be beat out there, but how many of those people were? I've had this argument all the time. How many of those people were already like they were old, or they were already sick, or they were already like? I'm like, listen. Let's say you're 70 something years old, right? Or 80 something. I don't know. You're older, let's say, and maybe not the best of health or whatever. You get into a tragic accident. What killed you? Well, it wasn't your age. It wasn't the. It was the accident. This COVID thing didn't exist before, and now it did, and then it killed you. You know, so I don't know.
And you know what? Taylor and I, we talk about that. Sometimes people forget that, for example, if you need assistance and you go to the hospital and all the beds are taken because of COVID and you die, I think that should go on COVID's account, man.
Dude.
It fucking killed you.
Absolutely. Hey, man, you know what? People forget about that. That's the thing. And nurses, you know what? It takes, how many years to train a nurse? I don't know. It takes a while. You know, it's not just getting a bed or getting the equipment. Who's going to run the equipment? You go, and the people that I know who are nurses back home, shout out, to to all the nurses back home, Justice, and other people I know. And I was like, like they've been working hard. They get they don't sleep. They don't sleep, and they're tired. They're freaking tired, man. And I feel bad. And then they were protesting that. They were protesting nurses a year and a half ago, if you remember that. It was horrible. I was like...
Protesting against nurses?
Yeah.
Well, the nurses were
because they're part of this conspiracy of like COVID and this whole thing and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, really? Okay, sure. Yeah.
Did you feel a big
conspiracies?
Did you feel like a huge shift from the Obama administration to the Trump administration? The way that people, became more outspoken and.
Of course, yeah. I mean, like first of all, there was look. There's always been an underbelly in my opinion, in the U.S. and other places. Look,
Good
there's
Underbelly.
It's good.
We have-
Yeah.
Andrew's uncle's in it
Really?
in real life.
Have you seen it?
what is this?
It's a YouTube series.
Soft White
Is that
Underbelly?
right?
Underbelly.
Is it Soft White Underbelly? Is that the one? They do interviews.
Australian.
Oh, I don't know.
Australia, King's Cross or whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About the drug scene and the
Maxine.
70s,
They interview the people, right?
No.
Oh no. Oh, so I thought. Okay.
Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Carry on.
You said
I know
Underbelly.
I know there's a great Kiwi
what
song.
were we even talking about?
I know there's a great Kiwi song, Maxine, which you know that song? Maxine, you're not the only
Is that a
one.
Kiwi song? Who
Yeah, I
sings that?
think
Like Dragon or something?
No, it's not Dragon. It's a lady's. I don't know her name. I'm so sorry. It's
fine.
But I
don't
know
know
I
either.
wanted to book her, and it was too expensive.
Gotta try, man. Gotta
and that
try.
video is great. It's like not subtle at all. You know, razor blade in your pocket. You know, and she's like doing lines of blow in like the bathroom. You know, there's this Coca-Cola sign in the background. I'm like, okay. Apparently that was shot. Yeah, look her
Got
up.
a question?
And she's great. I would love to have her play. She's in the
Who
honestly.
sings that song, Ange?
She'll know.
She'll message me.
Yeah, look
But
up.
carry on with the image.
you're
Yeah,
asking, you're asking what stereotypes. You're asking about what was it? Was it?
Yeah, because like you know, when
it's bullshit, man.
I met more Americans, obviously. You know, when I came to New Zealand, because a lot of people travel.
Americans
around
don't
here.
travel. Americans don't have passports.
then, like,
Americans don't do this.
The ones.
What do you know?
The ones that I met, all
Yeah.
the Americans that I met here in New Zealand, incredible, very intelligent people, knowledgeable.
that's another one.
Probably the ones who decided to go out there, you know, and find out more about the world. They had good education, I could tell. You know, like they were into things and they were like keeping up with the conversations. And man, just the cultural background, you know, like because most countries were influenced by Western culture, which is mainly, you know, American music or whatever. You know, like so
entertainment.
So like all these
Yeah.
things, when you get someone, a sharp American who knows what he's talking about, like you're gonna have these amazing conversations, you know. But like always upset me that it carries that image
That stigma.
of like, oh man, you know, like he's got no filter, you know, like be careful, he's gonna say what he.
Sharon
it's gonna-
O'Neill.
it's
Sharon
gonna be-
O'Neill.
Oh man.
I want you to play at the
Carry
Monkey
on.
House.
Anyway, but like so and like with Brazilians, and that's why we had a good chat the other day, because Brazilians also carry that thing with stereotype, you know, like. It's funny, man. Sometimes I say, "Oh, yeah, Leo, where you from, Brazil?" Like it's so common that people say, "Ooh," kind of like that idea of a sex cultural country.
yeah,
of being
yeah.
Like, of
Blame it
being-
on Rio. Yeah.
Of being sleaze, of being like,
yeah.
"Ooh, Brazilian." Like so, for some people it's nice. It's like, "Ooh," and for some people it's like, "Ah."
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm like, "Fuck, you don't even know me. Like, you just met me, and you already."
It's because it's the only thing they think they know about you, though.
I know. So that
It is.
Well,
Just like when you guys came here and you met me, you probably thought I was banging sheep. You know?
I've never thought about that. That's a youth. I mean, for me, I probably like most people.
I'm just saying.
I didn't. But
What
now
about
I'm
goats?
thinking
But what about
about it.
goats?
But I'm thinking about it now. Like, especially you mentioned the milkman stuff. I'm kind of like, what is Brett really up to?
No, that's what people think about New Zealand, isn't it? I don't know. I wouldn't have been somewhere else.
don't
Don't they think
know.
we're just all out for sheep? Isn't we like a sheep country?
No,
Do you
I
guys not know
I
this?
think recently they probably think Lord of the Rings. Well, let me
of the
tell you.
Rings, yeah.
Let me tell
Maybe
you.
you guys are too far away in the
LOA.
world.
Yeah.
Like if you went to like Australia or maybe even
The
Europe,
Aussies are better,
then
no, but
they're like, oh, they love sheep over there. They got
me, it was
like
definitely-
fucking 5 million sheep.
For me, it was
You
the
know,
film thing, for sure.
LA.
Yeah.
But you know, the other thing is, New Zealand's not small. I don't know. The perception I think of the rest of the world is that New Zealand is this, you know, tiny couple of islands, archipelago. It's not small. It's only small because there's a continent next to you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's bigger than the size of like I think Britain, and if you put it in the map with like Europe, it's
Same
huge.
amount of people as Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
New
5 million people here. Yeah, 5 million people here, right?
I think maybe lengthwise we're on par with Great Britain or something. Probably not
land-wise
area.
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, land-wise for sure. you
I
reckon?
have to look it up. I have to look it up. On my
I know,
partner, she's
we're about
done
the
this.
same. We're about the same size as Japan, I think. Eh?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's-
Really?
There's so much potential in New Zealand. You know, and I think that now ironically, you're on the map because sometimes you're not on the map.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like literally, like,
And sometimes
where's
we're in
New
the middle of-
Zealand? It's not on the map.
Have you seen it? Sometimes we're in the middle of the Indian Ocean too.
Yeah.
They put it over
Oh,
on
they
the other
just put it,
side.
like, right over
They
there.
put it on the other side of Australia. I like that.
Oh
I like
god,
that a
I
lot.
love it so much. I love it so much. I love Kiwi land. But there are stereotypes everywhere. I guess here, I did not know about the sheep thing, but I guess
Did you know? I can't believe you didn't. You
I
never
didn't
heard
know that sheep and goat were different, dude. I mean, come on, let's
that's
just be
true.
honest.
That's true.
I don't know anything about it.
So the singer is Sharon O'Neill.
Sharon O'Neill. Sharon, if you're watching, and you should be watching, come to Whitianga, play at the Monkey House. I want to hear Maxine. She's not the only one.
Great show. Great.
I didn't
great
realize
song.
she was a Kiwi.
I think
I
it's
didn't
Kiwi.
even knew
Yeah,
that, yeah.
Kiwi. Yeah, I was learning about Kiwi music and something like Dragon, you know. And I got a chance to
man.
work the festival last year. What was it? The Green Stone Entertainment. What is it? The Waterways Show. I got a chance to do some staffing for them last year. Thanks again to Smitty's and to the people there, Phil, and who introduced me.
Who was there last year? Was it like Smash Mouth or some shit? Or was that the
Yeah,
year before?
yeah.
No, it wasn't
Was it
Smash
the
Mouth.
Billy
It was Gin
Idol
Wigmore.
one?
No,
Oh,
Gin
yeah,
Wigmore.
Gin Wigmore.
There
Billy
couldn't be.
Idol was
There
before.
couldn't be any overseas act
That's
because
right,
of the
yeah.
COVID.
That's right.
Gin Wigmore, I think, was the headliner.
She's
and
good.
then
Dragon.
And Hello Sailor or Hello Sailor.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
yes.
Hello Sailor, I believe. I got there late, and the reason I got there late is because I worked 24 hours for them doing the security gig, and then I ended up staffing like bartenders and car parking people and other breakdown staff. So I was exhausted by the time I got to the show. It was just Gin Wigmore. Well, she was fantastic, by the way. She was great. She killed it.
Because she's
Absolutely
based
killed
in New York now, I think, isn't she?
Is she? I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause
I
my
never heard of her
friends-
before
She's
this. but
touring New
great.
Zealand soon. She's
My
coming to
friend's
New Zealand.
uncle is a guitarist, and like I think she's in New York. She lives overseas.
Does she? Oh, no, she was great over here, though. I'll tell you that much. It's
Do
a
you
great
have?
show.
Did you always have this thing with like working a lot, working hard? Was it something that you got from your family?
No, I tried to work as least as possible.
Fantastic, good man.
That's why his last job was in 1994. Remember?
When I worked for somebody else.
Because people have a wrong an impression that like when you're running an event, of course you're partying and you're having fun. But
Yeah.
fuck, man,
It's
you're
a lot of work.
active. Yeah.
No, okay, let's just be honest about this thing. Like, I'm only interested. No, I'm interested in a lot of things. That's incorrect. I shouldn't say that. Like, I have an interest in many, many, many things. But I'm always curious. I think I'm very curious. I don't know. Like I like to run events. I like to run like shows. I love the arts. So which was an interesting thing when I got here to Whitianga, because I honestly thought this was mostly a sporting town, like fishing and sports and all this stuff. And I'd hang out with Molly and I'd be like, man, it's like, what's going on with the arts, Like, I don't know, like anything with the arts. And I was, for a while, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go to Auckland or something on that nature. And I was doing the comedy thing, trying to get into that just for fun. And then it turns out there's a great artist community here, And I met some of the people from, Creative Coromandel.
It's live.
It's alive. Creative Coromandel and some of the other people, and the Green and a Horn. Anyway, all these people. Sharon Morecambe, and the Monkey House. So I wanted to make a hub for that. We know exactly what we are. Like, I know exactly what I want. Like, I don't want sports. There's a great place for sports. It's called Smitty's. Go there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There's a great pub for like a Kiwi pub. I guess the hotel over here, and then you got the Irish pub over there, Grace O'Malley's, right? And they're doing their thing over there. But I know what I want, and all I want is like music, art, comedy, theater. Any of those things, that's our lane. And we want like a certain kind of person as well too. Like, I'm not big on the bro attitude sort of thing. Like, don't come to the place if you think you're going to be hitting on chicks, I want to hit on chicks, and this kind of thing. And,
What if I hit on dudes?
Can't hit on dudes all you want.
Oh, yeah.
No, listen, gays, girls, arts, that's what I do. That's what we do. And if there's enough people here to support that, hey man, that's what the Monkey House is about.
Nice.
No violence, none of that sort of behavior. In my opinion, have some drinks, relax, go see a great show. make a great show happen. That's another
Yeah,
thing.
man.
Where you teach, I'm like, where are the punk rock kids, man? Or how about DJ? I got full DJ gear. Come DJ. Somebody teach them how to DJ. I don't even know how to DJ. Here you got to do everything. This is the do-it-yourself shit. This is like real do-it-yourself. Like, I don't know. Look, I come from the world where like, oh, you're the bartender. Oh, you're the lighting person. You're the sound person. You're the promoter. You're running operations over here. I put those people together. But here, it's not that. Sometimes I'm the bartender. I'm the DJ. I'm the promoter. I'm cleaning up before. I'm cleaning up after. I'm looking for the next event. It's like I live there sometimes.
And then you have comedians
I mean, I'm
coming
like Coach
and
Beach.
making a mess on stage.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
That was a lot of fun.
What was the name of the comedian? It was Paul Douglas and
Paul Douglas, that was, oh my God, that was great. It was Paul Douglas, Liv McKenzie, who I love you, Liz. Fantastic. She's great. I did a show with her on Great Barrier Island, not Reef. They gave me a garlic reef about that. And then David Correa. Yeah.
good man.
Yeah, he was great. He's the one with all the makeup and then left that mound of thing that looked like cocaine. But it was just
it was
shocking.
not.
I was like, geez, what is that? Get that out of here. No, it was just, he was fantastic, that guy.
Kaspar, Danny Doom, he's asking, hi ALTBAYS, what's the hardest part of producing an event? Great vibe, Kaspar.
I wouldn't know. I've never. Oh, you.
Thanks,
Sorry.
my man.
Thanks, man. What is the hardest part of producing an event?
Running an event, yeah.
You know, the cleaning up afterwards, I think is the hardest part. Oh, pardon me, I just lost my thing. I think the hardest part is cleaning up afterwards. That's like, well, you know, what we do, and the way that I always do this, and Molly as well, so much shout out to my partner Molly with this, is before preparation, you know, during the event, and then post, you know, and taking care of the artists as well. So like what we do is that when we contact an artist, you know, or, you know, whoever, we say like, look, does this make financial sense to you? You know, is this good for you? Does it make financial sense for you? Et cetera, et cetera. Because I'm a show business. I'm not show. Show business. It's very, very important. If you do show, you're going to go under. It's not going to work out. People are going to fight. I know because I've done this before in the past. And it's just a nightmare for everybody. Everybody's like, oh, so the pre-care is like contacting the person.
Do you go through their management, or some New Zealand acts you can go straight to them?
We go straight to them, and sometimes through the management. And then, like for example, Gray Bartlett, who I absolutely love. He's a great guy. We're hopefully working with him and his production company soon. He's contacted us last week and wants us to run some events, not just at the Monkey House, but also throughout New Zealand with some great jazz musicians, some people from Supertramp, the Eagles, he's mentioned, and he's just a great guy. That guy's just fantastic, and his energy at 79 years old. Wow. Jeez. Wow. So very happy to be working with him.
So you get hold of the artist?
We get hold of the artist somehow. Mostly directly or through a management company, but mostly directly, let's say. And then say like, hey, look, this is what we can offer for you. We can offer you the great Coromandel. Okay, so we can work with Matt, for example. Like if they want to do and we say like, okay, look, here's the Coromandel with this great place. We're gonna get an Airbnb, you know, for you guys. You know, we're gonna get like maybe like Matt owns the catamaran company, the big yellow banana catamaran thing. Say you can book a thing with him, you know, and go see the great Coromandel and whatever. Then we got the theater. You do your show, you know, and then during the show, you know, you can have a couple of drinks or whatever the case is, maybe some dinner, blah blah blah, and then after the show, it's post care, which is saying like, you know, well, there's always payouts, of course, and then there's always like, you know, how was your stay? How was this? You know, and if it's, you know, obviously it's successful, they usually say like, I'd love to recommend you to some of our other people, you know, either doing burlesque or comedy or this or that. Like right now, Alan McElroy books all our shows. You know, Alan came up here and said to us, he was like, this is the best show I've had up here. And the great, like, he just loved the environment, you know, and he's like, man, if I can book that Thursday nights and make like more of a comedy, like Thursday comedy, I'm like, dude, he goes, I just don't want anybody else to interfere with it. I was like, hey man, this could be your thing. It could be your night, you know, Thursday night. Monday nights, we do hospitality. You know, we run that, and that's just for like hospital peeps, Smitties, and anybody that's a waiter, a waitress, works in retail, works in whatever, cool people. Just come in, have your night off, play your music. I give them a thing to DJ. You could DJ your own songs. The Indian guys play their own like Indian music, and then there's like, you know, some hip hop stuff, and then there's like me 80s, you know, kind of music, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other shows are just like what the shows are. We have salsa. Salsa is starting again on Monday, next Monday, right before that. We're gonna do salsa nights.
The dancing.
For dancing, yeah, we did it last Tuesday.
Fantastic.
Bro, like, I think it was like 15 people or whatever it was.
Oh,
How many people
yeah.
showed up? They do salsa. It's
I was just clarifying from that
Chantel?
or the food. Yeah.
no, yeah, not the food.
Dancing.
Although it's hot salsa. And they go there, they dance. I pretend that I know what I'm doing and play some salsa music on. I go, that guy. Yeah, I don't know.
Spotify, salsa music.
But the hardest part is the whole thing. It's running the theater, you know. And the hardest part is just sometimes not having the some of the help that we can get. Like, I don't know much about like Rob. Shout out to Rob,
Yeah.
right? Because he has been helping out with sound so much, you know, Rob, you know, lending us sound gear because things are expensive in New Zealand. That's another thing that's the big difference between here and New York. Man, if I want to get like a microphone or this and that in New York, I just go and call my friends or whoever and get it, or I just go down to the store and pick it up. Here in New Zealand, man, you know, like even a Shure like SM85 is like, or 57 or 58, whatever, is like, you know, 300, 200 and change dollars, blah, blah, blah. If you can get it, you know, getting equipment is hard, getting lighting is hard. It's been hard getting gear, getting really, you know, good gear and getting the people to run that because, you know, that's been very difficult. Yeah, so I don't know if that answered the question or not. But
You did. You went to a lot of gigs, I bet, in New York. Did you get to see the Misfits?
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you want to get into that topic?
Oh,
yeah, we should.
Some cool bands.
Lots of gigs.
Come on.
Man, okay, look, man. Yeah, I've seen the Misfits several times. I was backstage with the Misfits.
Several.
No, I was backstage with Danzig. I was backstage with Danzig and with Dimo Borgir. Some more like a metal, like the Norwegian, like death metal. Nice guys, really tall, like 6 foot something or whatever. If you have beer bottles, it looks like tiny in their hands. They got this leather thing. Nice guys. You know, yeah. So I wasn't allowed to go to gigs as a kid. Maybe I should mention that. I don't know. Like I wasn't allowed as a kid. Like
Why? Were you Jehovah's Witness or something?
No. Wait, are you Jehovah's Witness? Aren't you? I got a friend of mine who's I was like, because I saw the podcast, and he's Jehovah's Witness, but he's also a foot fetishist, and it was just the greatest thing on the planet.
Let's
Because
go back to that.
he struggles with it, and it's so great. And I love it so much. But no, anyway, I'm not making any name, but it's the greatest thing I ever see. Because I'm always like.
Shout out to you.
Shut up.
Jehovah's Witness.
It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my
Loves
life.
feet, loves some feet.
Because first he's like, well, you know, God gave it to me. You know, well, God said that, you know, it was like, you know, when I was a young man, I had like childish things, but now that I'm a grown man, and I was like, yeah, and I'm always like, yeah, I know. Listen, I know. I'm not gonna mention the name. Someone go, yeah, I know, Rob. I'm like, man, who's that? He's like, yeah, but I know that.
Checking the feet.
Oh my God! Look at them feet, Casper. She got. Whoa. Oh. I'm like, you all right? He goes, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just. Yeah. Oh, I bet they got that little arch with that.
Man feet as well?
And that little stinky foot smell.
Oh, nice. Men feet as well?
No, women's feet, but with him. But yeah, I actually, the funny part about that is I have a little a bump on my foot. What do you call it? What do you call those things? Like you have a bump on your foot, like a
bunion.
A bunion. I have a bunion. And I'll never forget going to him and saying like, hey, Foot Daddy. I was like, hey, Foot Daddy, what's going on? Listen, do me a favor. I'm really worried about this, man. I was like, I got this thing in my foot. He goes, no, I don't want to see your feet. I was like, you want to see my feet? I'm like, he goes, no, I don't want to see your feet, Casper. I don't want to see your feet. I was like, I just need you to tell me this is something wrong with my foot. And I mean, what if it's something serious? He's like, I don't want to. I'm like, just look. And he goes, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. And I showed him. I go, no. He goes, yeah, I've seen that before. Take it away.
Oh, fantastic. Look at that.
But he's look, listen, people are the way they are, and they like what they like.
But the gigs, man. The gigs,
Give
man.
us
the goals.
The gigs.
No,
So what
kind of feet more?
You like the feet, eh?
You like the foot?
Do you like feet, Brett?
Are you a big foot person?
A feet?
No, but I was actually talking about it only a couple of days ago with some workmates, but yeah, I'm not into feet. But you saying that made me sort of jealous. I'm just like, man, how easy to please, right? All you got to do is just walk around and have a look at some feet, man.
Yeah.
You
Quentin
just be like,
Tarantino.
"Ooh, yeah, man.
Tarantino.
You know?
It's a whole package, right? Your partner has all these beautiful parts of the body. You might as well appreciate all of them, right?
Well, I didn't want to go that far, but
Oh
yeah.
man, come on, man. Why not?
Ain't nothing wrong with the foot, man. Ain't nothing wrong with
What's
the foot.
wrong with the foot?
Nothing wrong with
man?
the foot,
No,
man.
but I mean, like, sexually, like, not all parts are, like, sexual, you know?
You never know. It depends on the touch. It depends on the
I like
mood.
clavicles. I like clavicles.
Do you?
Oh, I'm big into clavicles.
Nice.
What the hell's a clavicle?
Oh, this is bone right here that's very wonderful and delicious. And Tilda Swinton has a very good clavicle. I
My
don't know.
man. Yeah, I like that, man. I like it.
Everybody's got some, I suppose. You know?
Yeah.
But
I mean, too, I like
Shows.
the necks. I like the parts here behind the, like, close to the shoulder to the
Oh,
neck. So
yeah.
that's good that you're talking about the clavicle.
oh, the
There you
clavicle.
go.
Yeah.
You're gonna be quiet, Brett. You're just keeping a cool breath.
Everybody's
Like,
got-
I don't want to be part of this
I used to on the
conversation.
website. I used
What
to.
are you into, Taylor?
Oh yeah.
He's not even here, Taylor. Which website?
I used to on a website called Short Hair and Glasses. I like short hair and glasses. I don't know what to tell you. There's something about short hair and glasses. I like. It's a thing. I like short hair and glasses. And I thought, oh, I used to own a website called Short Hair and Glasses. Didn't do anything. .com. Didn't do anything with it. But and then we play this game. We play this game sometimes where it's like you know you got this and I don't know. And I was like, where's my glasses? Where's my glass? I'm like, I don't know. I found your glasses. I thought you found my glasses. I found your glasses. Wow, I am on a podcast, aren't I?
It's pretty good. Okay, I wanted you to
It's like
talk.
Scooby Doo. I love Scooby Doo.
Man, I wanted you to talk about the gigs, but fuck that.
The gigs, I'll tell you the
You know
gigs.
what?
With Velma.
Before you tell me,
Yeah.
Before- before you tell me about the gigs,
Yeah.
you told me once this great story because now things make sense. You said that your mom used to run a bar. And then when she found out that you were running a bar in Fitzgerald,
Oh,
she gave you some tips
No.
on special cocktails and stuff, right? Could you please,
Really, bro? Really?
could you please share that story with us, man? It's one of the best stories, man. So yes, please. It is a great
This
story.
this is an adult podcast.
Go for it,
right?
brother. Well, it's past, not.
Oh God! Well, she was very happy that I was running this venue spot or bar in New Zealand, and she goes, "Oh, do you know, I love it, but no drinking." No drink. Don't drink because if you're drinking, you're not doing well. You know, but if you want to make money, you have to sell shots. And do you know what shot you sell? I was like, no. I'm like, the blowjob shot, yeah. The blowjob shot. Do you know what it is? It's Kahlua. You put a little Kahlua like this, and then you put a little whipped cream like this, and you just, ooh, blowjob shot. Ooh, blowjob shot. And she starts like, I had to take video of her like doing it. She's like, ooh, blowjob. Oh, I love. And you know you have to use in the shot glasses. You just put it right in their mouth. Ooh. Ah, blowjob. You want a blowjob. And do want a blowjob, and do want a blowjob, and do want a blowjob, and everybody pay $10.
Yeah. So you got instructions.
And so I said to her, as I'm watching my mother, who's like in her mid-70s, doing this, and you know, you guys just call me. Who knows what the context is of that? And I'm going, oh, yeah. And Molly was doing her accounting. She's like accounting, and she hears this, and she goes,
What the fuck is going on?
I'm like, I don't know, my mother. And she goes, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know, and so I said, yeah, that's very nice. I don't know, it's that kind of bar, Mom. I'm thinking more like old fashions or, I don't know, like,
Yeah,
like
cosmopolitan.
More classic cocktail drinks
Mojitos.
rather than shot, blowjob shots.
Right. So people should
This is going to be the clip, isn't it? You're
does
going
know
to
where-
choose.
she
I know
knows
this is
where
going to
the
be the
money
clip
is,
that you choose
Yes.
for me, and that's what I'm going to be known
so
for.
people should not go to the monkey theater expecting to have a blowjob cocktail. Eh? Guys, no go. Not happening.
This is an R18 show.
Yes.
Well, I think you're missing a
Much like the
golden
burlesque that's
opportunity.
happening this weekend.
Yeah.
Best shows of your life. 5.
Best shows of my life. Okay. The number one or I'll say it for the end.
Whatever.
All right, man.
pick.
Look, listen. The number one
It's
show.
hard to pick one, so.
There's so yeah, but I pick 5. Look, the number one show of my life that I can really that I can think festival. Man, $25, 2005 or something. I don't even know. I didn't look it up. It was Little Steven's Underground Garage Rock Show that took place at Randall's Island. Just Google that show. And it was sponsored, I think, by Dunkin' Donuts. And
Wow.
dude, that show was sick. It was when I got it a little bit late, but it was like some local bands, but I'll never forget there was like the Dictators, right? So Richard Manitoba and the Dictators, right, were on there. Who I used to live above. I used to live above the bar, Manitoba's on Avenue B and 6. And I used to go there all the time. All the hardcore kids would be down there, blah blah blah, and other stuff. And he killed it that night. That whole band. They killed it that night. After that, Nancy Sinatra came out. Right.
Wow.
And I remember there was a little infighting or something going on with that band. But anyway, that being said, Nancy Sinatra announced, "Come to Manitoba's later on." And it was like, I walked outside my apartment and there was like hundreds of people there. And so Nancy Sinatra, what do you call it? Was it not BB King? I'm gonna lose it, but I don't know. Iggy Pop.
Hey.
Iggy Pop was there, and then the Strokes were there later on. And I know people give the Strokes some shit for whatever reason. I don't know. I think they're freaking great.
It's a good band.
But what was that?
the way you say
you
that.
have
I like
good
I like the
band.
show.
do me a song. Do me
I
a-
like it. They're a good band.
I don't have the internet, but if you have the internet, if you just Google that up, Little Steven's Underground Garage Rock Show, that was the best festival, and I was at Woodstock in '99.
What's it called? Little
Well,
what?
you know,
Sorry?
man,
Little C.
Little Steven's
Little
Underground Garage
Stu was
Rock
telling
Show.
me. Stu was telling me about the doco,
$25 for that show.
about the Woodstock '99. That was
Woodstock '99.
chaos.
Oh, it was
Woodstock.
nuts. But you know what? I left a little early. I
But the
have crazy,
lineup, hey.
Dude, I have crazy stories about that show.
Yes, please.
Like,
Your friends are
I
gonna
ended up
love
getting
this shit.
picked up.
New
I
York
ended up-
people.
And recently, my friend Lisette, who was like,
what number was it?
"Oh, what's that?"
What number show was it? Was it a show?
It was a whole event at Randall's Island. So Little Steven's Underground Garage Rock, Randall's Island. It's got to come up near NYC, let's just say, because I don't have the internet. Otherwise,
Woodstock, man. Woodstock.
Woodstock '99 was crazy good because you saw so many. I saw Metallica there. It's all like I don't know, Sheryl Crow. There was that guy,
Rage Against the
DMX. There was
Machine.
like the Brian Setzer band, which is the one I left too. I missed Jewel. I missed the Red Hot Chili Peppers later on because we left a little early. And missed
Rage
most
Against
of
the Machine?
no, I don't think Rage was there.
No?
And I don't think I've seen Rage. I would love to see Rage, man.
Have you seen them?
Have you seen Rage?
Well, I have.
Nirvana.
Taylor has.
There's shows. There's so many shows I wish I had seen. Nirvana. Well, Fugazi. I didn't have the $5. I didn't have a ride. It was sold out.
Didn't have the
I'm known for
$5.
that. I grew up poor. I grew up broke. Like I know I did. I mean, we didn't talk about that, but yeah, I grew up like growing up from like town to town.
You were
Like I grew up like
bad
pretty
childhood.
broke. Yeah, latchkey kid, as they say in the '80s. And I wasn't allowed to go see shows. I think my first show was either the Beach Boys or was Madonna, and the Madonna show I remember more because my mother got me the $22 ticket to go to see her at the Orange Bowl. It was postponed by like almost 2 hours because of the rain, and then my father was angry. She let you go to the Orange Bowl. I grew up in a weird way. My mother basically when I was there for the summer times, I did everything. Like I had my own apartment, because they own a hotel, and I had my own like little suite up there. And when I was like 12, that's something you give a kid. I could do anything I want, so I kind of was out really late at night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I was going to see a lot of punk rock shows and also a lot of disco shows and also a lot of like blah, blah. But my dad was very strict. He was very disciplinarian. And then we had moved to Gainesville, Florida, because he went to the University of Florida. And that had a brilliant music scene. We had Alika's Attic, which was River Phoenix's band, I remember. We had the Smegmas. I remember this band called the Smegmas back then. It was just like a local band. And I saw a great show there. Two fucking great shows. Two great shows. One of them was this band. I didn't know who they were. And this guy was up there, had a cigarette, and it was just like, he just stood there. And like the whole thing was burning. Boo. And then me and my friend Paul, we're going to do some slam dancing. To this band. They're called the Flaming Lips. I was like, oh, really? And then I saw this band at this thing called the Decline of Western Civilization party at some fraternity or something like that. I was Sigma Nu, actually. I remember this because my friend's father was like the head of that. But I ended up sneaking into that show when I was like 15 or 16. And we had a lot of drinks, et cetera, et cetera. And there was this band that I did not know until much later. And there's a story about this. And there's a band called Scream from DC Dave Grohl was
Dave
the
Grohl.
drummer,
Dave
bro.
Grohl, yeah.
Dave Grohl was the drummer, so I saw Dave Grohl at that show. I didn't know until years later when I read the Nirvana story, another band I never got the chance to see. But I was at that hardcore show. It was great. But what got me out of hardcore later on was that show.
Really?
Yeah, because there was a band that came on afterwards, and I was always into like real punk stuff. I was into like the Pistols. I was into like the Pogues,
Ramones.
the Ramones. Yeah, I was into all that sort of stuff, like this kind of thing, and Fugazi and all this kind of stuff. I was really into, and then I went to that show, and it changed my mindset a little bit because what happened was the frat boys got a hold of it, and I'm not like a frat boy person. Like I just can't stand
What
that
is a
culture.
frat boy?
It's like people that go to fraternities and they go to they go to university, they go to fraternities. It's the bros of
Got
like
it,
whatever.
got it.
I'm just not into that kind of thing. And this band came on actually prior to I think it was prior to Scream, and they had like a guitar, and they were playing like the guitar synthy kind of thing, blah blah blah, and then they were like, that's not fucking music, fuck you, bah, getting real violent, doing all this. And somehow punk became, it's ironic with the Trump thing because somehow punk became this thing, and I was like, man, I'm not about this. Like that's not why I got into like punk music. Dead Kennedys, like that's me. Like Dead Kennedys, this sort of thing. That's not why I got into this. I got into this for like the energy. I got into this for this angry at the establishment energy. Just want to and like have fun, but like be cool with like I don't know, girls and other people, and it changed that dynamic, and it was more electronica music. And then what happened with me was like I was like, yeah, man, that's not really my scene. I'm not really down with that kind of thing. And then ironically enough, a couple of years later, it wasn't them, but a couple of years later, then 9 Inch Nails breaks out. And suddenly that's like the biggest thing on the planet. It's like, NIN and, this more like electronic bass. And then rave, the birth of like rave from the late 80s, but for me, the early 90s and that nightclub culture in New York City, because at that time I was living in New York. But I also was part of like, in Orlando, because I worked at Disney. I worked at different nightclubs in Orlando.
Did you work in Disney?
I did. I was a Jungle Cruise skipper. I was like, come inside, sit and slide. You're in for a magic Jungle Cruise ride. Blah, blah, blah. Come on board. And I worked for the Mouse.
You can't skip that, brother. How did that come about? How was the thing to work in Disney?
Dude, so I went to University of Maine for a year. I've got 1 year of education, man. Kids, you read all the time. Just read. That's my biggest education. And travel, read and travel, and read. Overall. But I went to school for a year at UMaine, and then that summer I went back to New York, and I was doing some things in New York, in Long Island. I worked at a thing, and then it's a long story. But my father and I had an argument. And he kicked me out of the house, and or something I didn't really do. I ended up having a crazy night. Where I met this guy. I never forget his name, Kwame, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was out with all these hip hop kids out in Long Island, and we were doing bad things. There was a gun deal. There was somebody had stolen some like liquor and TV, and there was all this stuff. And at the end, the guy was like, "Hey man, so like, where are you sleeping at tonight?" This guy, older guy. And at first, they come up to you. There was also like a hooker that came up to me and was like proposing. I was like, "Dude, like, no, I just got kicked out of my house." And they were like, "Hey man, like, these like, when you get approached by like 25, like kids ages from like 12 to like 20, let's say, and you're like just turned 20, and I was like, and he was like, basically 19, and they were like. When they approach you, you're like, oh, this is going to be bad. I'm going to get beat up real bad, But I know my way around the streets a little bit. And I was like, oh, yeah, yo, man, it's called passing. So I'm like, yo, man, I don't know, man. My pops just kicked me out and like, blah, 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 blah. I was seeing like House of Pain and all those bands were big in the day, Public Enemy. And then, so I was like, which is from there. And then, so I was like, yeah, but they kind of accepted me and took me in. And then I ended up sleeping in this guy's house in his basement with I'll never forget this, a coat, because it was kind of cold, even though it was summer. and the basement was cold, and he gave me a coat that was made out of a German Shepherd. I slept like this, woke up the next day. My dad and I had a talk, and he was like, I think you should go down to your mom's. I was like, yeah, I think I should. And then so I went down and stayed with my mom for a couple of weeks, and then my mother was like, let's go to Colombia for a bit, and then you should go back to, I was like, look, man, I got to do something. And I said, you know what, why don't I go work at Disney? And she was like, what do you mean Disney? I'm like, oh, I hear there's a university there, and I want to be an actor. And and that was going to be the next Hollywood at the time. And so she's like, okay, we took a bus from Miami to like Disney, and I don't know, she has some money.
Is it Orlando?
Orlando, yeah. And then, this is what I'm talking about.
It's Disney World in Orlando.
And then I couldn't get a job.
Not Disneyland.
Disneyland is in Anaheim. Yeah, in California. But Disney World. So I ended up my best friend. And I think you saw the video, Ken Lodge. He did this whole thing at Disney World. Yeah. So basically the deal is this. Man, let me tell you what's up. Like, basically what happened was I couldn't get a job without a residence, and I couldn't get a residence without a job. And I basically just like bullshitted, bribed my way into like getting a house. And so I had this time. I don't even know how I survived because there's a lot of guns. And so I ended up living in this place, Emerald Green, I think was the place, in Kissimmee, which is about half an hour or so from Disney property, right? And then I went back to the interviewer. And I was like, hey, look, I got a place to stay, and blah blah blah. So I would love to. And he goes, oh, we think it'd be great for this, part in the at the Magic Kingdom as a Jungle Cruise skipper. I'm like, oh, I'm in, man. $5 and change an hour, minimum wage. I think it was $5.25 an hour. But they never give you they never give you 40 hours. They give you like 16 hours, 12 hours. Good luck surviving. Mickey. Good luck surviving.
Come on.
And then later on, when it's a season, they give you like 80 hours. And you're like, this is the bullshit thing of corporations. But anyway, well, but that being said, because they don't want to pay benefits. Because here in New Zealand, I don't want more people on entrepreneurship because, quite frankly, you get sick, you can at least go to the hospital. They take care of you. Or they give you something. In the U.S., they're like, oh, well, you're homeless now. Good luck. Good luck with that. You don't have insurance. The very first thing they ask you in the U.S. when you go to the hospital is like, where's your insurance card? I'm like, well, I'm bleeding now. Here's nothing. That's why so many people go to the ER, because by law they have to take you. But it's the most expensive place to go is the ER as opposed to going to a doctor. But anyway, that's another conversation. That being said, what happened to me was this. So I'm at Disney. And I'd scanned my way into this apartment, and then I got myself this job at Disney, and I bought a car for $750. It was an old school, a really old Ford, Thunderbird, right? And I don't know shit about cars. I used to this day, I love old cars. The thing caught fire, literally caught fire, the engine, literally there was fire. Sorry, and I had to put water on the thing. Didn't run. The next day, it was a lemon, and I didn't know what to do. But the next day, I had to go to my training. I had 3 days of training. I didn't know what to do, so I hitchhiked. So I hitchhiked from there to here, which is 30 minutes away. This drunk guy picks me up. You could tell he was loaded. And I had to be there at 7 a.m., which is very early for me. 7 a.m., so I'm waking up at 5, trying to hitchhike, and the guy picks me up. He's like, he may have been hitting on me, but he was trying to get me over there, and he's drunk, he's swerving.
Oh, great.
So I get to Disney property, then I gotta walk half an hour to get to my thing. So I get there, and I'm all chipper, and they teach you how to smile. It's not like everybody smiles different. Everybody smiles differently. Some people smile like this. Some people smile but here at Disney, we smile and we don't point. You never point. You always use 2 fingers or the whole hand. And when people ask us to take them somewhere, we take them somewhere. Unless we're in uniform, we can take them to the edge and then show them where it is. And I was like, yeah, cool, I'm all in. Let me join the cult. So anyway, I hitchhiked over there, that guy. And then I met this chick that I knew from the auditioning part or whatever. They call it auditioning because they don't say they think you're a lead, you're this, you're that. Anyway, I met her there, and I go, "Oh, you got a job here too?" And she's like, "Yeah, you got a job." "Yes, I totally got." "Oh my goodness, where you go? Where you come?" "Oh, I have to drive like 2 hours to get here." Right? And I think her name was Linda. And I was like, "Oh, that's great. You know, I got this apartment, like it's like in Kissimmee, 30 minutes away. We sleep on the floor, and there might be some cockroaches. But check it out. If you want to, if you could give me a ride to work, because my car blew up because it was like on fire." And this woman was like, "Oh yeah, I could do that." I'm like, "Really?" Because I could be a serial killer, but okay. I was like, "All right, sure." So she, so she agreed to give me a ride for the next couple of days, and she could stay at my floor, you know, and then she would drive me back. So the next day, I didn't have to hitchhike. She drove me all the way in, and then I met this guy, Ken, my buddy Ken, who's still to this day my best friend, and he was sitting behind me, and he was like, so I'm like working the room, and I'm like, "Yeah, where are you from?" He's like, "New York." I'm like, "I'm from New York." I don't really spent like a summer in like in Long Island. You know, it was the summer of the Amy Fisher like shooting thing. But anyway, that means nothing to you guys, but it was a big story back then. But anyway, that being said, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from New York." I'm like, "Where are you staying at?" And he was like, "I'm staying at the Adventureland Motel." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like what is it?" Near Kissimmee. And it's like this hotel with like a rocket ship, you know, it's like one of those $28. I'm like, "How much are you paying there?" He goes, $28 a night. Like, $28 a night? That's so expensive. That's crazy. You know, I got a place, I'm paying like $350 a month. And, I'm sorry, I'm paying $185 a month or some shit like that. I was like, and, you know, if you go there, we just split it up. The only thing, I don't have a car because my car blew up. And if you can just give me a ride. And so he said yes. And then I had Linda drive me over there. I knocked on his door. I'm like, "I'm here." You know? So long story short, he giving me a ride. And he gave me a ride to work like every day for like a month. You didn't see it. I didn't have any money. So he gave me a ride to work from Kissimmee all the way to the Magic Kingdom, where I would work from 7 and change until 2-ish, let's say. He ended up going to work from 3 p.m. until like 10 and 11 o'clock at night. So I would get off my shift. I would then go hang out at Disney, at Epcot Center, steal some food, which there was a lot of food stolen because they didn't have any money. So, and then that's kind of how I made it for the first like month, just and then meeting people from all over the world because they have those pavilions and this and that, maybe meeting some girls and et cetera, making the connections. Next thing I knew, I bought a motorcycle, which I didn't know how to drive, taught myself how to drive it, then promptly got pulled over for not having a helmet. I was like, "Dude, if I could afford a helmet, I'd have a helmet." Now you give me a $250 ticket. If I had $250, I would have bought a fucking helmet. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but they don't care, the cops over there. They're like, you know.
No, really.
Mm-hmm. So one thing led to another, and I ended up working for the Mouse for about 6 months, and then realized promptly, you know, I was like, I'm not getting anywhere with this, and there's no acting. It's just me on a boat. And I'm not making any money. And then I scammed my way into being a waiter. I was like at the Olive Garden, which is fine dining. Fine dining.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. It was fine dining at the Olive Garden. And he got a job at, what was it, like Pizza Uno's or something. And he's like, "How did you get a job at Olive Garden?" And I remember saying to myself, I was like, I lied. He's like, the guy was like, "Oh, can you run like 4 tops?" And you know, we usually run a 4 top. You do this. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I run tops all around, man. Yeah, whatever you want, tops, man, tops this, tops that." I used to work in these restaurants in Maine and in New York, and got loads of experience, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah. You just tell me what's up. And then it was great because I never forget this because there was these couple of gay guys there, and the reason I mentioned that is because at that time I hadn't really met too many gay people in my life. Prior to that, except in Miami, just this one guy, but it was really funny because they were like, but there was very. Oh no! It was a guy. There was yeah, but this was really funny because they were and they super but very funny. They're like, you have to understand, this is the early '90s, right? And they were like, "Oh, Miss Thang, really? I have to teach you how to actually wait tables?" Scandal. Okay, I guess. I was like, what's going on here? Something's weird. What's happening? And like, I don't understand. And then eventually they showed me the ropes, like how to fucking wait tables, you know. And the money was really good because I was like really desperate. And then I ended up living with a murderer. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, I ended up leaving that house because feces came up from the bathtub, and then I had to find a new place to live. And then there was a sign looking for an extra dude in a house with 4 dudes, and then I ended up moving to this house where there was a guy that looked like what the fuck, John Belushi came out there with a towel, naked. He had a chick in the back, and he comes out and he's like, and this guy that was very conservative, like sort of like, knock. There's a guy here. Casper. He goes, what? What do you want? Well, he's like coming out with a belly, and he's like, it's strong. He's like, what do you want? And he goes, there's this guy here, Casper. He's here for the apartment. I mean, for the room. And he goes, yeah, but we already promised it to that. And the guy, the guy was Parker. And he goes, okay, yeah. He goes, he has money. He goes, yeah. All right. Well, first come, first serve. You got money? And I go,
wow.
Yeah. And I go, here. He goes, that's it. You can move in tonight.
That's a way of interviewing.
So I moved in tonight. I moved in that night. I ended up staying in that house for a little under 2 months because they sold the house and everybody got money except for me on that deal. And one of the guys ended up being, he was there for like a murder charge because he was, this guy, I don't want to name, but he was there and we ended up going out and he was doing all this like blow. And he was seeing this chick, and he was like, so he was like, and one day we were there, and he was like smoking this weed, doing some like lines, whatever it was, and I was hanging out playing video games because we had a video game console, 0 chairs, and there was a pinball machine in the back.
Great. What
and
console was it?
What kind of what?
What sort of
it was
console
God, what was it? It might nah, I want to say it was like an Atari, like an old, no, but it wasn't an old Atari. It was some kind of console. It wasn't. I don't think it was a Nintendo though. I don't think it was a Nintendo, but it was some kind of.
Just curious.
It was ColecoVision. I don't know. It was some kind of console. It was 90. It was like 92-ish or whatever, 93. So the bottom line is, he said that. I don't forget because he's like, oh, I gotta see my parole officer today. And I was like, oh yeah, we gotta see him for it. And he goes, oh, there's this long. They said I stabbed this. They said I stabbed this guy in Philly, 20 times. I didn't do it. I only stabbed him 5 times. I was like, wait, what?
Not 20.
And so then Lodge and I ended up going. And I was like, you got to come to this thing with me, man. Because I went back. I was, yeah. So I went back. I had an old school phone, rotary. And I'm like, oh, hey, man. I think this guy's a little weird, man. And he might have killed someone. And then at the end of this thing, when everybody's moving out, and he kept going about this thing with the family. You're breaking up the family. We're going to get a new house, and it's going to have a jacuzzi. It's going to have a jacuzzi, man. We're going to have a jacuzzi and chicks and And he had like porn that he put up on the walls, like as it was decoration.
Oh, great.
Like really weird stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's weird, man. And he also locked, like not one lock, but like 4 locks or something.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, this is weird, man. And so anyway, that being said, as we were moving out of the house, and which he was very upset about because we're all going to get a new house with a jacuzzi, and it's going to be this great house. And eventually I had to tell him, like, oh man, I got to be honest with you, I don't know that I'm going to be moving in with you guys because, I got this new place. It's my own bedroom. I was like lying on I was like, and it's only like $80 a month, and it's my own place. He goes, you're breaking up the family. What are you doing? You're breaking up the family. I'm like, I don't want to break up the family, man. I just gotta get the hell away from you. And then as we're moving out, the other roommate comes out with crates of guns, like straight up like pistols, just like guns galore. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of guns. He goes, well, I told you that when my uncle and we saw in the gun shop. I was like, yeah, you didn't tell me you were keeping them here. I was like, you lunatic. So they ended up moving. I know we're probably running out of time, but I don't know what to tell you.
So when you come to the Monkey Theater,
stories.
you not just only watch these amazing shows and enjoy some very good drinks made by Molly and Kasper, you also get to hear amazing stories about America.
You can hear crazy stories about America. By the way, just real quick before I know we're gonna go. Leonard Cohen, phenomenal show. 4+ hours that show.
Really?
Foo Fighters, which is unfortunate because we had tickets over here with Taylor Hawkins, what happened there, but boy, it made me a fan. 3.5+ hours.
Great show, eh?
Playing those. So Nick Cave, man.
You got
I love multiple times. New York, London, here in New Zealand. Him speaking here in New Zealand. Just great performances.
Speaking to, was it like a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it was here. I saw it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, brings me to the point where, like, there's always weird. People stand up and talk to them. They're like, I'm a big fan. Yeah, but then the woman was like, she was going on about Kylie Minogue, and she was like, the best thing she ever did was. I'm like, how do you know what Kylie Minogue is like? She could be brilliant. I don't know. People don't get a chance, or whatever the case. He was great in that. You know, that's the thing about the artist. That's the thing about an artist. You know, when you work with a lot of artists, and you understand that like most people want to do good work, they really do. Some people are more talented than other people. Most people are dedicated, but you know sometimes it doesn't always translate. And I was having this conversation the other day about like Heath Ledger, like prior to Brokeback Mountain and prior to like the Dark Knight. I mean, it wasn't doing great work. It was like The Knight's Tale and some other stuff. But what a great actor that guy is. What a great actor that guy is. You know what I mean? And when he gets the right role, look at the dedication that guy put into it. And you get an opportunity. Most artists, I think, they get an opportunity. They can go places. You know, I don't know. I'm passionate about that.
Thank you so much for being passionate about it, because then you get to bring interesting people here, right? That's the thing. You can tell who is and who is not. That's a good job for someone organizing events and bringing cool people.
Thanks,
to a music venue.
We're gonna do
So
some
thank you.
events together. We're all gonna do.
Well, we're gonna talk about that punk rock night and that metal night for sure.
Yeah,
man, can you just tell us a little bit more before we wrap it up? Like, how do we get to know about the shows that you guys are bringing to town, and how do we buy tickets and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. So here's the deal. So we have a events promotion company called Beat Fairy, and that's spelled BEATFAIRY, Beat Fairy, because somebody was like, is it like Beats? I'm like, no, it's like BET, like, no, not Beats, like beatfairy.com. And we're bringing out of the Monkey House, and you can buy tickets usually at Event Finder, and then the Eyesight Center, and then also at the venue. Usually, and it depends on how we run it, because sometimes the artists run their own tickets. Well, they always get the lion's share, they almost the entire thing, you know, of the ticket sales. But you can find us at beatfairy.com, and you can see the list of events that we got coming up. So like this weekend, we've got the Dixieland Band. They're coming up on Friday. That's going to be awesome.
Good stuff.
We got the Burlesque, Las Vegas Nights, Rock and Roll Circus Burlesque.
Man.
Get those. And then we've got Alan McElroy and Corey and Ed Keegan on the 19th.
Fantastic.
We've got the Madelyns, and she's from Fittianga. One of the girls, I think Hannah, she's from Fittianga, going back to the Monkey House. We've got what's the Irish gentleman? I don't have the best. You go to Beats Fairy, yeah,
on
Beat
Facebook,
Fairy.
on Instagram,
yeah, beatfairy.com. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook as well too. Yeah.
Thanks to Kasper and Molly for bringing cool stuff to our town.
Thank you, Leo.
Thanks for coming, man, and having a chat with us, teaching some things about the music scene and the guns policy.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And by the way, just before you go, real quick, and we're gonna be doing the woman who cooked her husband. That's with the Offbeat Theater, and that's coming in August.
Hey.
And I get to play the husband. He's a real bastard. And you can hear me try and do an English accent.
Cool. Let us know so we can promote it here too.
Will do.
Brett Soanes,
Yes.
thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thanks for letting me play the devil's advocate. On
I
some
know,
of these
I love it.
conversations.
Always fun.
Absolutely love it.
I
Absolutely
enjoy
love it.
Kasper, a pleasure, my friends. Thank you so
Leo,
much.
so much.
For the people watching this show, we're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Should I say something about Monday, Taylor? What do you think, or should I keep it for the weekend? Maybe I should keep it for the weekend, eh? We got some cool things happening next week. We got some cool guests coming next week, very special guests. We're going for our show number 50. Yes. We've been to, Yeah, okay. So we booked a show with the mayor, with Sandra Gaudi, which is pretty cool. Yeah, man, I know, right? So we're going to do a big promotion. We're going to spread the word out there so people can get on the live chat, ask us some questions.
Who's co-hosting? Just curious.
I'll tell you later. We're planning that. But
Sorry, I'll
tell
just
you.
look on the spreadsheet.
I'll tell you soon. Yeah, you can, it's there. Thank you so much for supporting our show. Subscribe to our channel. Okay, that's the best way to support us right now. And that's it. Oh, Grace Carter unfortunately won't be able to come on Friday. So we got Jess Hamilton. She's a biker. So she's coming to talk about women's who drive and ride. That's the word. Ride Harley Davidsons and crazy motorbikes. So it's going to be a fun chat. She's full of tattoos. I want to ask about that too, because apparently you get addicted to it once you start it. So I got some interesting questions for her. I'll see you guys on Friday. Ciao.
Base.